welcome to today's NASCAR Cup Series Enjoy Illinois 300 coverage from the Worldwide Technology Raceway just north of St. Louis, Missouri, in the state of Illinois for today's race. It is going to be a fun one. We got another NASCAR Cup race on the schedule. It's the second to last race of the season for the Fox portion of the schedule before USA Network and NBC take over here in a couple of weeks. The last oval race, in fact, on Fox is next week. They'll be heading to a road course out on the West Coast at Sonoma Raceway. As far as today's race goes, we've got this full pre-race coverage for you guys over the next half hour to 40 minutes before the drop of the green flag for today's Enjoy Illinois 300 at Gateway. So to take you through everything that we need to go through here, I usually talk about drivers who I don't think are going to run particularly well for the race each weekend. Drivers who I do think are going to contend for the race win, and maybe some underdog picks for top 10 finishes as well. Last weekend with the Coke 600, starting during the Indy 500, I didn't get to do my full pre-race predictions for that race. I did predict for Chase Elliott to win the Coke 600. He finished in 7th. My second pick would have been William Byron, finished in 3rd. I was really heavy on a Chevy winning the race. Now, on the overall predictions with the must-haves, the sleepers, the don't-haves, I actually ended up going 8-1 with those picks. And I did predict Joseph Newgarden to win the Indy 500. Fast forward to this weekend with my predictions yesterday for the truck and Xfinity race. I took Ty Majeski in the truck race, finished 4th. And I took Shane Van Gisbergen to win the Xfinity race, and he was able to get his first career Xfinity win at Portland. As far as this weekend goes, though, we still got more predictions to go for you guys and more in-depth prediction with these Cup Series races. So let's not waste any more time and get into today's predictions. Now, these predictions can be solely used for your fantasy league, your fantasy advice for this weekend. If you're not already in our fantasy league, you can join on the NASCAR.com website or the NASCAR mobile app. As you see right now on the screen, I'm on NASCAR.com on the standings page, but if you look at the quick links section at the top of the screen, there will be a tab if you slide over that says Fantasy Live. You can click on that. That's where you'll find our fantasy league. The league name is KRC League, KRC in all caps, a space, capital L on league. And again, it is free to join. All you need is your email to sign up. And if you join our league and win the regular season and/or playoff championship, you do win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500. So KRC League, put it right there, KRC, all caps, space, capital L on league. So the name is in the chat. All right, so as far as the predictions for today's race, I usually tend to start off with the drivers who I don't think are going to run particularly well. So we'll start off with the 3 don't have picks once again here this weekend. Now, all 3 of these don't have picks are actually in the top 10 in points, and they all race for what is probably the top team in NASCAR over the last couple of decades, really, and that is Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports has not been good at Gateway with this next-gen car since we started running here, of course, with the next-gen car in 2022. That was also the first race ever for the Cup Series at Gateway. Only 2 top 10 finishes in 8 entries in those 2 races for Hendrick Motorsports. Both of those came last season with Kyle Larson and William Byron getting top 10s, Byron finishing 8th, Larson finishing 4th. Their cars this weekend do not look particularly Worldwide Technology Raceway. You'd have to go back to the spring race at Phoenix earlier this season. All 4 Hendrick cars in that spring Phoenix race finished outside the top 10, 14th or worst, in fact. Kyle Larson finishing 14th, and then an 18th, 19th, and 20th place finish for Byron, Bowman, and Elliott's. So with that being said, the speed does not look particularly good for Hendrick Motorsports or Chevrolet as a whole here this weekend. The highest Hendrick Motorsports Chevy in practice yesterday was 16th, and that was William Byron. The highest in qualifying was that of Kyle Larson, and he qualified 11th, excuse me. So it does not look good for Hendrick Motorsports this weekend. Now, can one of them sneak in there and maybe get a top 10 finish? I'd say sure, that is possible when you have that good of a team, you know, all the way around. One of them on any given weekend can go out there and get a top 10 finish. If I had to look at one of the Hendrick drivers to get a top 10 finish today, I'd probably say it's Kyle Larson. Larson's struggling out of the gate this weekend, similar to what he did at Gateway last year, excuse me. And he was able to chip away, chip away, chip away. He only got 1 stage point, but finishing 10th at the end of stage 2. But by the final stage, he got up to 4th place. Never had a race winning car, but had about a 3rd to 6th place car at the end of that. I think that's about as good as Hendrick Motorsports can do today. I don't see them competing for the win. I'd be shocked if they lead any laps outside of potential strategy if we see tire strategy in this race, which we probably will, considering there isn't a lot of fall off at this track. with really any series, and especially we'll see that in today's Cup race. The three Hendrick drivers I do have on the don't have list obviously would be the ones not including Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Alex Bowman. William Byron, again, as I mentioned, he was actually the one that qualified 11th, not Kyle Larson, so I apologize on that. But 11th place qualifying ever for William Byron, the best starting of the Hendrick cars today, 17th overall in practice, and it was not good. Outside the top 20 in those 5, 10, and 15 lap averages in practice for all three of these Hendrick Motorsports drivers, so they're not very good on the long run. Short run, not very good, at least by way of unloading speed. I'm sure they went to work overnight trying to get adjusted with this car so they can try to get something going at this style of racetrack. Again, Hendrick Motorsports has really struggled here. They've struggled at New Hampshire, and then again, Phoenix earlier this season. I think that's part of what's hurt them in the next gen era and trying to win a championship. You look at 2022, Chase Elliott probably had the best statistical season that year, but he didn't win the championship and really was a non-factor for the win at Phoenix that season. And then you go ahead and you look at last season, and Kyle Larson had a pretty solid year, but William Byron went out, won the most races. Both of them made the championship four, but neither one had race-winning speed. It was Ryan Blaney who had the race-winning speed of those in the championship four, and even the non-championship four drivers like Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain were the ones actually battling for the win through most of the day. Chastain got the win. So if we look at the Chevys that could potentially compete here today, I like Ross Chastain. He was actually the only Chevrolet that was in the top 10 in practice yesterday, and he has had good runs here in the first couple seasons. Of course, that first year, remember, he came back to finish in the top 10 in the 8th place position, even with Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott trying to either A, wreck him, or B, just literally run half speed in front of him for a large majority of that race. He still got a top 10 finish that day. That's how good his car was. Last season, he did end up getting into an incident very early in the going, battling inside the top 10. So if he just stays incident free, I think he could be one of the top Chevys. To go back, though, with the Hendrick Motorsports guys on the don't have list, again, Byron, Elliott, Bowman. I started talking about Byron a little bit there, and I got off on a Chastain tangent, so apologize again for that as well. But Byron's finishes here, again, he had an 8th place finish last season. The season before that, he finished in 20th. It was a non-factor the whole race. Now, he did score quite a few stage points in last season's race, so he pretty much ran top 10 the whole day, but he also unloaded with better speed. He qualified top 10 here today, obviously starting a little bit further back in the field. And the Fords and the Toyotas just look so much stronger this weekend than Chevy. I just don't trust Chevy to be in your fantasy lineups for the most part. I would stay away from Hendrick Motorsports. If you've used them, because in the fantasy league, you can only use a driver 10 times throughout the course of the regular season. And if you've used any of these Hendrick drivers for a large majority of the season because of how strong Hendrick has been this year, I would say this is a good week to take. Who starts in the 10th place position. So definitely not looking good. Again, no Hendrick cars top 10 or top 10 in qualifying and top 15 in practice. Chase Elliott, he didn't even run this race last season. So even less track time than almost every driver in the field, at least all except for some of the rookies. And even a rookie this year, Carson Hocevar, has more track time in the last calendar year or so at this track than Chase Elliott because he did run this race last season. Carson Hocevar's first career start was at Gateway. Elliott was suspended after his Coke 600 incident with Denny Hamlin last season. So he was suspended this race, didn't even run it. And the only other race he would have had here, he ended up finishing in 21st, which he got in an incident with Ross Chastain in the middle going to that race. But even before that, he was already running mid-pack, so it wasn't like there was much there either. 17th is where Chase Elliott qualified. He was 18th fastest overall in practice. And again, he was outside the top 20 in those 5, 10, and 15 lap averages. So no takeoff speed there for Elliott whatsoever. Strategy is going to really be the only way that these teams can get a top 10 in my eyes. Alex Bowman, again, is the other one there. 14th is where Bowman qualified. He was 22nd overall in practice. He was last of the 400 cars in the overall practice sheet. In the lap averages, he was behind the other three as well. So Bowman probably the least likely of the four to get a top 10 finish, but I'm going to go out on the limb and say that all Bowman, Elliott, and Byron will finish outside the top 10 here this weekend. Now, it is worth noting, if you think that is a bold prediction, I will say, despite being on the bold predictions for most of the year with the don't have picks, go over my season statistics so far. 21-4 when predicting a driver not to finish in the top 10 this season. 21 times I've been right, 4 times I've been wrong in 25. We've got 3 here today. See if we go 3 for 3 once again. That's insane that I'm as good as I am at predicting that. It's by far the best statistical category I've been with my predictions so far this year is predicting drivers not to finish top 10. I try to stay with, bold names, bigger names like I am this weekend with the 300 cars. So usually when I do say they're not going to finish in the top 10, more often than not, they don't finish in the top 10. Sleeper picks for this weekend. I kind of mentioned Carson Hocevar a little bit there. I think he's got an outside chance at a top 10. He actually had top 10 speed in practice yesterday on the longer run. 10 and 15 lap averages. He was 10th in the 10 lap average category, 15 lap average category. On a slightly longer run, he was 8th. Last season, he was running in the top 15 the whole race before he had the brake failure. So it's just a matter of trying to take care of those brakes a little bit more. It's a lot harder for these smaller teams, I think, to do that because their equipment is just lesser than a lot of these bigger teams. The resources aren't as high. So he definitely has to monitor that, but at least going through that experience once before, he can maybe know what to look for and keep that from happening here today. Now, he didn't qualify particularly well. He kind of messed up on his qualifying lap, but again, the practice speed, he did have top 10 speed there on the long run. The short run, the fire off, probably part of the reason why he also qualified as far back as he did. He will be starting in the back half of the field today, but I think if anybody's starting in the back half of the field, he probably has the best chance to still get a top 10 compared to anybody else starting around him. So Carson Hocevar, I'm going to go out on the limb for the sleeper pick and say that he is a top 10 candidate for today's race. The other two top 10 candidates I have from the sleeper pick category is going to be Austin Cindric. He's starting on the front row for this one. Cindric only has one top 10 finish this season, but I will also say that he has been very fast. And the Penske cars, I think collectively this weekend, probably look as good from start to finish on a non-super speedway through practice, through qualifying than we've seen all season. I think they've really picked up the slack in recent weeks. Obviously, you look at Ford in general has picked up the slack with Chris Buescher nearly winning at Kansas. He was 1/1000th of a second off there. The very next week, Brad Keselowski got a win at Darlington. Joey Logano won the All-Star race the week after that. Last weekend, although they had speed from certain categories, the Toyotas really dominated the 600. When we go back to Gateway here this weekend, you had Ford's top two in practice, both Penske cars, and even Austin Cindric, who I'm stating here for a sleeper pick, was 6th overall in practice. He qualified 2nd. He qualified in the 2nd place position at Gateway 2 years ago, and he ran top 10 the whole day. He actually won a stage, so I expect him to score quite a few stage points today. And he still finished in 11th while he was just outside the top 10. I'm going to say today he does get a top 10 finish. Again, collectively, I think Penske looks very, very good this week. I'd be shocked if a Penske car does not win this race. Cindric, I think, is the least likely to get the win in the race, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's running top 6 or 7 the whole day with the starting spot. It's going to be hard to pass here. Cars are so equal in the next-gen era from top to bottom. It's a primarily one-groove racetrack. Yeah, you can move up, try to find a line here and there, but with the aero blocking, the stability of these race cars, the amount of shifting we're going to see today, passing is going to be at a limited, and having the track position is going to be huge. And when you have the track position and the fast car, that makes it very difficult to beat from the rest of the field. So I've got Austin Cindric getting a top 10 also. Michael McDowell to kind of go with that track position strategy. I think he gets a top 10 today. He actually scored a top 10 in last year's race here. And this track race is like a road course with the amount of shifting we'll see today. Drivers in practice and qualifying yesterday were shifting 8 times a lap. They would go from 5th to 3rd gear in the corners, back to 5th on the next straightaway, back to 3rd. So a lot of shifting at this racetrack. We know Michael McDowell is a great road course racer. He won on a road course last season in the next-gen car. I mentioned he had a top 10 here at Gateway last year also. And he's had a great season this season in qualifying. He's had 3 poles this year. He starts on the pole again today. I think the track position today matters a lot more than the first 2 poles he had this year on super speedways. And Michael McDowell overall in practice was 9th quickest as well, so he has a top 10 car this weekend. He just has to stay out of trouble. He's got to execute on not speeding on pit road, and he'll be up in the top 10 for most of the day. I think he'll get a lot of stage points at the very least. His first stage is not very long, so for fantasy purposes, that's another reason why I have Cindric and McDowell on this list. They should get a lot of stage points in this first stage, and it's not guys that you would normally use in your fantasy league, I'm sure, on most weekends. So this weekend could be a good weekend to use them. So those are my sleeper picks this weekend. Again, I got Cindric, McDowell, Hocevar, and the don't haves, I have Bowman, Elliott, and Byron, the 3 Hendrick Chevys. Now, I was talking highly about Ford and about Penske with the must-have picks coming up. I have two of the three Penske cars in the must-haves. Obviously, the other one I had on the sleeper pick of Cindric. I think Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano are going to be the two guys to beat today. I'm taking Ryan Blaney to win the race. Not just because he's my favorite driver, no, but I've been unbiased with Blaney picks. I've only taken him to win twice this year. The first time was at Atlanta. He finished second, led a lot of laps, was leading on the last lap, didn't get it done. Bristol was the other race. I was probably a little in over my head on that one. He ran outside the top 10 for most of the day. I didn't know there was going to be that much tire fall off in the race. Otherwise, I would have leaned more towards the veterans like we ended up seeing there in the finish of that one. So I was definitely wrong on that behalf of things. But track position, again, it's just going to matter so much. Blaney qualified third. He was second fastest overall in practice, and his lap time is only 1/1000th of a second off of Logano. Logano seemed to be better on the short run in practice, leading in the 5-lap category. He was second in the 10-lap category in practice, but he was third in the 15-lap category, where Blaney started the 5-lap category in practice in third, was still third on the 10-lap category practice. And the 15-lap average in practice, Blaney was actually the quickest of anybody. It was Blaney, Hamlin, Logano. So I've got Ryan Blaney winning this race today. He seems to be good on the long run. He's got track position, which a lot of these bigger teams in this race, the bigger teams, the more veteran drivers, Blaney is the highest qualifying of them that would win on a more consistent basis than a lot of them at the front of the field. He hasn't won a race yet this season, so this is definitely a race that he and or Logano have to win, in my opinion. More so for Logano because he actually is below the cutoff line. Blaney, at least, despite being 13th in the driver standings this season, has really fallen from grace the last several weeks. Of course, last week he had a DNF early in the 600, which hurt him in the point standings quite significantly. Again, you see him 12th here. He's 12th in the driver standings, but he's actually 13th in the playoff standings because Suarez, who's outside the top 16 points, has a win. So it actually pushed Blaney back to 13th. He is over 40 points above the cutoff line versus Logano minus 30. So, again, Blaney not in as bad of shape of needing a win than Logano, but a win would go a long way. And it can really put more focus on the team throughout these summer months to just try to get the intermediate program right, which has been lacking all season for Ford. More so for Penske than with RFK in recent weeks, but still, Penske as a whole, it gives them more time to try to find speed here before the playoffs start, to try to mount a late season charge like they did last year. Joey Logano is in definitely more pressure pack situation, but I do expect Logano to be quick. Logano's one of only 2 drivers to finish in the top 5, so he's also had good runs. Only 4 drivers have finished top 10 in both Gateway races. And again, Blaney, Logano are 2 of those drivers. Logano with a top 5 in each. So definitely going with Blaney to win. Logano qualified in the 12th place position. He got a little loose coming up off of turn 2. Did not hold a steady wheel there, and that costed him more than likely at least a shot at a top 10 and a reshot at a pole. But he should still have speed over the long haul of this race. First stage, maybe not going to score as many points as like a Blaney, a Cindric, or McDowell, but I think by the end of it, Logano could definitely be a contender for the win. We've seen on the flat tracks this year, Ford has been quick in recent ones. You look back to North Wilkesboro Speedway, again, a flat track. Joey Logano won that race. You look back to another flatter intermediate track this season with the Phoenix Raceway. Logano, Blaney, and Cindric all had pretty solid runs. So, although Toyota dominated the Phoenix race earlier this season, and Toyota as a whole and the short tracks have been good, this is it's not a short track. It might race like a short track to a certain extent, but there's very high speeds. This is a 1.3 racetrack. I don't expect the Toyotas to be quite as strong as the Fords today, but I do think Toyota is that second-tier manufacturer for this weekend. There were 3 of them in the top 5 in practice, but I'm still going to value those Penske cars higher than them. Now, I think the Toyotas can be quicker than some of the other Ford teams. They were quicker than RFK. Pretty much they were quicker than any Ford team other than Penske this weekend through practice and qualifying. So I think that they will have a majority of their cars on the top 10 at the end of it, but I still think the Penskes are the tough ones to beat today. Highest driver I have on the Chevy totem pole for today's race. I'm going to group them into the must-have. And it's probably going to be the most kind of out there must-have pick I think I've had for this weekend. Well, definitely for this weekend, but even for the last several weeks. And that's Kyle Busch, because he hasn't been that consistent this year. But Kyle Busch has been darn good at Gateway, so it's hard not to consider him a potential threat for the win. He qualified 10th. Again, he was the only Chevy to qualify in the top 10 for this race today. He won this race a season ago. Now, granted, it was from the pole, so he had a lot faster car here last year than what he does this year. I don't think he's going to necessarily compete for the win, but I do have Kyle Busch pegged as being a driver who can at least run top 10 the whole day, score quite a few stage points, and maybe be up there at the end if we get into weird situations with late race restarts and whatnot. But I do have Kyle Busch at least getting a top 10 finish today. He's, again, one of the 4 drivers to score top 10 in both races, and Busch is actually one of those 2 drivers to get top 5s in both races. Only him and Logano have done it. Busch, again, won this race last season. He finished second the year before. He's got the best average finish of anybody in the 2 Gateway races. So Kyle Busch, I've got him getting a top 10 at the very least here in this one. And he needs a solid day. It's been a calendar year since he's won. This was the last race he won last season of the 3 that he had. And again, it's been a full calendar season. They need a good run. They're on the bubble of the playoffs with Logano just outside the cutoff line, Busch just inside the cutoff line, and Logano looks like he's got a quicker car this weekend. Busch is going to need to have a solid day to try to mitigate the amount of points that Logano will gain on him for this race today, if he gains any at all, because again, they start near each other, so he can definitely kind of cancel that out quite a bit and make it even harder for Logano into the. Just a quick recap of who I have for the fantasy, or not really the fantasy, but just the overall predictions for this race today. Again, the don't haves, I've got Bowman, Elliott, Byron. Sleeper picks, I've got Cindric, McDowell, Hocevar. And then the must-have picks, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, with Ryan Blaney being my pick to win the race today. And I know he wasn't the odds-on favorite, and a lot of that's probably because he hasn't won a race this season. But again, the floors just look so quick in my eyes this weekend. I'm going to be shocked if a Penske car does not win this race. Again, they've been so strong here now 3 years in a row. They've won one. Last year's race slipped away from them with Logano and Blaney both being up towards the front, but a late race restart. Remember, it was Busch getting by Logano on that final restart of the day. Logano looked like he was going to go back-to-back. So I would be shocked. It would probably take something like that to dethrone Penske today. If there's no late race cautions and somebody that isn't one of the Penske Fords is just out leading laps in the final closing laps of the race, again, I am going to be shocked if that is the case. So definitely high on them for this weekend. We'll go into the point standings here in a little bit. I'll play a little bit of the pre-race from Fox Sports 1 side of things. Again, you can listen to the race right here on this channel. We'll have full flag-to-flag coverage for you. But as far as the visuals for the race, again, it is on Fox Sports 1. There's no more races on your local Fox affiliate this season. We got Fox Sports 1 this week. Fox Sports 1 was Sonoma next week. And then after that, the rest of the season will be on either USA Network or your local NBC affiliate. They're on a commercial break right now, so I'll hold off on getting you guys to listen into some of the pre-race festivities on Fox Sports 1 side of things. I do have to get my fantasy league in here. Did not do that earlier. I don't know when it locks. It locks in 7 minutes. We are 12 minutes away from the drop of the green flag in this race. So we are definitely getting closer here. All right, they're back.
It's going to be an interesting day here. The shadow of the Gateway Arch in front of a huge crowd in the NASCAR Cup Series in St. Louis on FS1. Wow, what a stirring rendition of the national anthem. Now, that's going to be hard to top with this stand-up, but we'll try. It's our 3rd trip here. We've never had a green flag pit stop in this racetrack.
Really?
The 2 prior races won by drivers who need to win this season, Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Where do we go from here? Who are we going to be chasing all day?
Well, it looked like Penske and Gibbs yesterday from the way the practice looked with the Toyotas parked early on pit road and the Penske cars qualifying up front. Michael McDowell on the pole in a Ford. So I think there's a lot of things and there's a lot of different directions that this race can go. But I can tell you this, it's going to come down to track position, strategy, Don't make mistakes on pit road. We have seen so many mistakes on pit road.
And what about Hendrick, though? They didn't put a car in the second round of qualifying for the first time in a year.
It's almost as if you read my mind. You told us about Penske. You told us about Gibbs. I mean, we've seen all those conversations over the year. Hendrick, where are they? They got knocked out of the top 10 in qualifying yesterday. Yesterday was a lot different. It was literally almost a rain all day long. Cloud cover, very cool conditions, sun out, beaming down on this racetrack. That means she's hot, she's slick. Can they find the grip level to get these cars up through the field? I think they can. Time will tell.
The only Chevy in the top 10 in second round qualifying was Kyle Busch, who qualified 10th against 5 Toyotas and 4 Fords. All right, brakes. Always a big story here.
Brakes are a big story, and for me, I've been on the other side. Yeah, I've been on the side of the fence where the rotor has blown out, but you're gonna have to use the brakes. The hard part about the brakes here is cooling. They get hot when you go into these heavy braking zones on both ends. And then they cool off down these big long straightaways. So such a unique racetrack from a braking standpoint as to where you want to run the temperatures in the car.
Yeah, they don't just go out. They break the rotors. These rotors want to be hot or they want to be cold. They don't want to be both. Anytime they get brittle when you go from extreme heat to extreme cool, that's what these long straightaways do, and you can get yourself in trouble breaking a rotor. Kevin, that's a first-hand view of exactly what happens.
On a nice, warm, sunny day outside St. Louis. Let's go trackside.
Race fans, and now to give the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome Cardinals pitcher and
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Enjoy Illinois 300. We're so glad you're here today. Racers, drivers, start your engine! Drivers ready to compete on this 1.25 mile oval for 300 miles. It's NASCAR on box.
240 laps, 300 miles, the scheduled distance for today's race. We'll get the rest of the stage splits up for you guys in a moment, but first we'll go through the starting lineup for today's Enjoy Illinois 300 at Gateway. Michael McDowell on the pole for the third time of the season and the third time in his career. Matches the most poles on the year with reigning at least points leader Kyle Larson, at least before last weekend. More on that in a second. Austin Cindric with the second career front row start at Gateway. He also started second back in 2022. In row number 3 will be Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Blaney 4th and 6th in both his Gateway starts, and Bell winning the 600, his second win of the season last week. Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin will line up in row 3. Hamlin looking for his 4th win in the series this season, and Reddick looking for win number 2. Brad Keselowski and Bubba Wallace will line up in row number 4 in this race. Keselowski also looking for his second win of the season, and Wallace looking for his first. Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch will line up in row number 5. Busch, the defending winner at Gateway, and Byron won top 10 in his 2 starts at this track. Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman in row number 7. Larson back after missing the 600 a week ago to run the Indy 500 after a rain-delayed start at Indianapolis. Got to Charlotte right as the rain came and ended the race early. Justin Allgaier finished 13th in his replacement a week ago, but Larson trying to get back to the points lead today after falling back to 3rd in the standings, missing a week. Corey LaJoie and Ross Chastain in row number 5. LaJoie is actually racing for Hendrick Motorsports in this race a season ago, but back with his regular Spire 7 team, starting 15th today, and Chastain looking for his second top 10 and his 3rd start at Gateway in the Cup Series. Chase Elliott and Austin Dillon in row number 4. Elliott missed this race a season ago due to a suspension, finished 21st in 2022. In row number 10, it'll be Martin Truex Jr. and Carson Hocevar. Hocevar made his first career start at Gateway in the Cup Series last season. First track he's going to for the second time in his career in the Cup Series. We'll see how he'll do today. Justin Haley and Eric Jones in row number 11. Row 12 for Chase Briscoe and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. It was announced earlier in the week that Stewart-Haas Racing will be shutting down their Cup and Xfinity Series operations. Few rides still left open. We do know one of those charters are headed to Front Row Motorsports. 3 still on the availability sheet. Briscoe racing for a job entering today's race here at Gateway. Derek Kraus and Chris Buescher will line up in row 13. It'll be yet another start for Kraus in the 16 for Colleague Racing on a part-time basis this season. And Buescher still looking for that first win. He's one of the last drivers above the cutoff line on points for the playoff standings entering today. Noah Gregson, Daniel Hemrick in row number 14. Gregson, one of those drivers trying to find a 10s for Barry in his rookie season, looking for 3 in a row starting deep in the field this afternoon. Daniel Suarez and Ryan Preece will be in row number 16. Row 17 will be John Hunter Nemechek and Cody Ware making his second Cup start of the season, first since Talladega. Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith will round out the 36-car field in row 18, as we have no non-chartered entries for today's race. A quick look at the point standings coming into the race. I mentioned Larson, who was leading in points going into the 600 last week, due to missing the race, has fallen from first to third in the standings. He's only 6 points back, and in fact, the top 7 in the point standings are all within 1 race worth of points of Denny Hamlin, who is the new points leader. Hamlin is just 5 points ahead of Martin Truex Jr. I mentioned 6 ahead of Larson, 17 ahead of Elliott, and William Byron, 5th in points, is only 31 back. Larson missing that one race has now tightened the point standing so heavily from top to 7th. And again, the regular season champion gets 15 playoff points at the end of it. After today, we have just 11 races to go until the playoffs begin. So we're waiting to see if that field will start to separate a little bit more after today's action. As far as the drivers locked into the playoffs with a win, Denny Hamlin has 3 wins this season, all coming on shorter tracks at Bristol, Richmond, and Dover. 3 wins for William Byron as well in the Daytona 500. At the start of the season, he has a road course win at COTA and a short track win at Martinsville. 2 mile and a half track wins for Kyle Larson at Las Vegas and Kansas in what was the closest race in NASCAR history, finish at least. Christopher Bell has 2 wins on the year after winning the 600 last week and also winning at Phoenix earlier in the spring. Brad Keselowski's win in the Goodyear 400 at Darlington locked him into the playoffs. Tyler Reddick has a win at Talladega, Chase Elliott with a win at Texas, and Daniel Suarez with a win early in the season at Atlanta. 8 different drivers are locked in to the playoffs with a win, so that means as of right now, 8 spots still being vouched on points. Martin Truex Jr. is the highest in the standings of those without a win. He's 2nd overall in the driver standings. Ty Gibbs, who's 7th and still within a race worth of points of the points leader, also without a win in his 2nd year in the Cup Series. He's 7th overall. Alex Bowman, who has the most top 10s on the season, at least tied with that top 10 mark with his teammate William Byron, also does not have a win. He's 8th in the overall standings. And Ross Chastain is the last driver in the top 10 in points without a win this season as well. Ryan Blaney, who was leading in points 2 months ago, is now 13th in the playoff standings. He's had a fall from grace the last several weeks. He starts out towards the front today. He's my pick to win this race. Might need it to get into the playoffs. And as of right now, again, currently sitting 13th on the playoff grid. Bubba Wallace will be 14th on the playoff grid as he tries to qualify 2 seasons in a row. Wallace comes into this race 21 points ahead of the cutoff line. Kyle Busch is 2 positions to the good, but only 12 points to the good over Chase Briscoe, and Chris Buescher has the last spot on points right now. He's 11 points ahead of fellow Ford driver Briscoe coming into the race. Again, Chase Briscoe, who was in the top 12 to 16 in points for a large portion of the season, has fallen back after his 600 run a week ago. So now Chase Briscoe's the first driver outside of the cutoff line, again, minus 11. Joey Logano is minus 30 points below the cutoff line for the 3rd consecutive week. He hasn't checked into that at all, mainly because that All-Star race win he had was an exhibition race. There were no points on the line there. So again, that win did not count him for the playoffs. He didn't cut above that cutoff line in that race, and he had a poor run at Darlington and the Coke 600 at Charlotte in the last 2 points races. He starts towards the front of the field. He was fastest in practice, so look out for Joey Logano to try to eat into that points deficit. If not, maybe even get a win to lock himself into the postseason. Josh Berry, Austin Cindric, 19th and 20th in points. They're over a full race worth of points out. Not in a must-win situation yet, with still 12 races to go before the playoffs, but they're going to have to start chipping away quickly here today. Berry starts very deep in the field, but Austin Cindric, again, starts on the front row, so this could be good for him to try to get another solid points day as well. So that is an outlook on how the point standings are going today. For more late-breaking updates before the drop of the green flag, here is the FS1 crew.
Starting 7th, Brad Keselowski. Bad Brad, keep an eye on him. He's been hot lately on his outside. Bubba Wallace.
From 5, last week's pole sitter Gibbs, top 10s in 3 of the last 4 races. And Kyle Busch, the only Chevy in the top 10, won this race from the pole last year. Now, we saw Kevin's brake issues here the last 2 years. This place has been tough race.
Yeah, when this happens, Mike, there's really, this is the best scenario right here. But Larry, tell us more about it.
Well, Kevin, St. Louis is a mile and a quarter track with very flat corners. It's really short with just long straightaways. A lot of high speed entrance, but as you guys alluded to, heavy braking, especially getting into turn one. Let's go to our Toyota Camry cutaway car and let's look at some of the brake components on this Gen 7 car. Now we have to pull them. You have the ducts on the left and right side of the grill opening that pumps air to the brakes through brake hoses. And I will also look at the brake is, and how about some of these temperatures that these brakes are going to see today? You're going to see caliper temperature around 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Rotors are over 1,200 degrees, and the brake pads at 1,800 degrees. The teams will get aggressive with the brake pad set up to help the car to turn. They put a really soft, grippy pad in that right front, which is good in the beginning, but over time you overwork the rotor and generate a ton of heat, and it will absolutely just explode on the driver, and he will have no control of the race car. Hits the wall, guys. It's walking that fine line between performance and durability.
Yikes. We talked to some of today's drivers about brake issues here.
This place is tough, right? You generate a lot of brake heat, but then you pull them down really quickly down a long straightaway too. You definitely see a failure. Some place you want to have a failure, and there's not really a good way I feel like to save them here, just because when you try to save your brakes, you just go slower. As teams have learned this place more, they know not to come with smaller brakes. You know, I feel like they know now to maybe got to bring some bigger brake packages.
Even though we have amazing brakes, we have to manage our brakes a little bit to make sure that they're 100% for the entire race. Back to house here. Let's get a look at the Toyota Camry XSE. That brand new nose that's leading the field here of 36. Beautiful day. Rain here yesterday on and off. Right now, 81 degrees. A light breeze out of the northwest. Mostly sunny. And the track temp much higher than yesterday, 120 degrees. Here's today's race analysis, sponsored by Credit One Bank. And note especially the stage lengths. Usually the first two stages are the short ones, the third stage is the long one. But we'll go 45, 95, and then 100 laps to make up the 300 miles, 40 miles an hour down pit road. The fuel window is longer than stage one, but not as long as stage 2, 3. These drivers have done very well here. And last season, they were all in victory lane by this time. However, not this year. Still looking for win number 1 of the season. Here's some radio from one of them, Ryan Blaney. One to go, fifth time by. We'll have 7 onboard cameras, including the Monster Energy Cam on board Ty Gibbs. The Rebel Bourbon, number 8, should be number 100. That stuff's 100 proof, you know, so Kyle Busch there. Valvoline Cam riding along with William Byron, good stuff, some of the top 10. And the Hunt Brothers Pizza Cam for Joey Logano, one here 2 years ago. And the Chili's onboard camera with Corey LaJoy. And Chase Briscoe carrying the Ford Performance Cam. John Hunter Nemechek carries our Toyota Cam today.
Keep an eye on these restarts. It'll happen right here on the first one. That's where all the action is. Dive bomb and getting into turn 1, Kevin.
And all these guys know it. They know they got to go. They got to make something happen as quick as they can, because when the cars get strung out, it just takes longer to make up track position. Getting into this race, though, a lot different conditions than we had yesterday, so it could catch some of these guys off guard with the grip level that their car has.
I'm so glad you warned Michael McDowell about the explosion.
Look at all the
look
at all the debris on the track.
Hey, I mean, that's just the way we do things in the Midwest. You want some explosions? We'll just make it a little bit big. If a little feels good, more's going to be better.
Well, that is definitely the biggest explosion that happens all year on the circuit on the backstretch here at St. Louis. You get a little firework residue back there, but it'll all blow off.
It ain't nothing.
It'll be fine.
Nothing for the fireworks we're fixing to see getting off into turn 1.
Hold on, boys.
All right, field rumbling their way through 3 and 4 for the final time before we get up to full speed. The pace car is on its way down pit road, and now the leaders are working their way off of turn number 4. Michael McDowell, his third pole start of the season, will lead us, and we are underway in the Enjoy Illinois 300 at the Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis. Great start for Michael McDowell on that outside lane. Easily was able to clear his way down to the bottom of the track into turns 1 and 2. Near contact in a battle for second between Austin Cindric and Christopher Bell. Ryan Blaney slips underneath them 3 wide. Cindric up out of the groove, loses another spot to Bell. Blaney underneath him now on the backstretch for third. Bubba Wallace peeking out of line late in the back straightaway as he tries to get around the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Michael McDowell will lead the opening lap of the race as Austin Cindric in the 2 is going to go a bit wide into turns 3 and 4. A tough start for the outside pole sitter. He's already fallen to 4th. Gets himself back in line in front of Tyler Reddick. So again, Michael McDowell leads the opening lap. Second place at the line was Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney third, Austin Cindric fourth, and Tyler Reddick rounded out the top 5. Leaders working their way up off the exit of turn 4 to complete lap number 2 now. Some more changing for positions going on in the back half of the top 10. Still a lot of side-by-side racing. Not at least a lot of 3 wide off this initial start. Drivers taking a more patient route for the start of the race.
I think this is definitely one of those days that we're going to see at least the group in 1 and 2 spread out pretty good because of the temperature on the race.
The exit, 2 cars at the back of the field have gotten together and spun. Caution's out. John Hunter, Nemechek, Cody Ware, and we're under caution at lap 3.
Well, here we go. You know, we talked about when these cautions would fall because that's really what starts this strategy. You got an extremely short first stage right here, only 45 laps. And now we're already, I know it's only 4 laps, but the strategy game will begin.
Look at this, Sir John Hunter Nemechek's on board. Out he goes with Cody Ware.
Tough to tell exactly what happened there, but our first caution of the day is already out. It took us just 3 laps to get to it. A spin off the exit of turn 2 between John Hunter Nemechek and Cody Ware. A little 2-car incident, no major damage on either one of their race cars. They should be able to continue as we work our way now under caution for the first time today in the early laps. Again, Michael McDowell still out in front of the field, leading every lap from the start and from the pole. Took the outside lane off the initial start, got a pretty good launch, and really has been uncontested, at least for those first 2 full green flag laps of the day. And again, that 3rd lap is where the caution ended up taking place. Tyler Reddick got around Cindric for 4th right before the caution flag came out, so Cindric loses 3 positions in the first couple laps of the race. Josh Berry up quite a few spots from the start. Berry qualified 29th, got up to 22nd, 7 positions gained in the first 2.5 laps for Berry before the caution. Probably had the biggest movement upwards of anybody in the field off this initial start. He was slightly ahead of that incident that took place as well, so those weren't 2 free positions for him necessarily. Quick shout outs to those of you that are tuning into this stream that I see watching, at least that has been in the chat so far. Caroline Wilcox, Candy Cox, no relation there, I'm sure. JoJo, Jeremy Granger Jr., Billy Kramer, Mark Witkowski, Kyle Lance, Joseph C3, Robert Perkle, Brian Zantop, Travis Glanton, the Tower Enthusiast, Dan Bauer, Susan Greenland, Frank Powers, Sean Murphy, Carol Moore, Brett Whitesides, Wade Selinsky, and others. Welcome into the stream. Stephen Harvey also welcome into the stream. Is it Steven or Stephen? I've seen you in the chat several times this season already. I'm sure you're a longtime viewer of the channel, even beyond that, but just want to make sure I get your name correct. It looks like it's pronounced Stefan, but I can understand if it's Stephen because I know it's pronounced that way sometimes too. Jackson Robinson, thanks for tuning in as well. You can vote for who you think is going to win the race in the chat. We have a poll that is open there that closes at the end of stage 2 during these live commentary streams. 88 votes have been casted already, and the race is just getting underway, so appreciate a lot of you guys voting during the pre-race. Picks for this weekend's poll is going to win, and the two favorites of Logano and Blaney have the two less amount of votes. Blaney, my pick, only 10% of you think he's going to win. 14% have Logano, 30% with Kyle Busch, and 47% of you say somebody other than those three will get the win.
What goes up must come down. And look at it on the lens here. Some of these cars as they go by. And some of that stuff falls to the track.
I don't think it was quite down there on that one. Just now, there you go. Maybe it should have blown the track off a little bit, but
here's what happened to Brad Kay. I'm sorry, we'll have that for you. What showed him get way up and out of the groove, but did not cause a caution. What did was lap 3, John Hunter Nemechek going around.
Yeah, here it is. You see on that right part of your screen, Bubba Wallace gets loose, has to chase it up, gets in the side of him. Great save by both drivers. It's going to lose them some spots, but not near as many as it would if they were around backwards. Luke to find another guy. That's exactly right. A good save, Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski started 7th. He is now 11th. And we were invited to sit in on the pole sitters pre-race team meeting today.
It's not just it's the first non-speedway pole vehicle for the company. It's really good. So round of applause for my engineering. Other great thing, I get it whole. It's almost a second of advantage off the road target. So that's going to be huge. Historically, the guys that run top 10 all day here. I can't imagine how fun next week be if we already got to work. Cheers.
Dow has led all 6 laps, 300 green, 300 caution now, as they line up for the restart with Christian Bell, who started the race 4th, alongside then Blaney and Cindric, Reddick and Hamlin. 4 drivers elected to pit.
Is that number one stall, Kevin? Did that man say a second faster?
He said 1 second, and that is a massive difference because it also takes a lot of pressure off the pit crew. They know that they have that little bit of cushion to be able to take their time.
Into the restart song, the engines come to full song, and the green flag waves again.
Christopher Bell got a much better jump alongside McDowell.
It's just
Take the lead here.
so hard to complete that pass when you can't go all the way up the racetrack and finish your momentum down the back straightaway. And you see the outside prevail right there with Michael McDowell.
Side by side for third with Blaney on the outside of Cindric now. Tyler Reddick looking on, and Ty Gibbs coming on the outside behind him with Hamlin.
As you're going into turn 1 right there, you're going to downshift twice. So there's a lot of torque and drive up off the corner with the engine that you have to be really careful. Like we saw John Hunter Nemechek, it's really easy to spin out if you can't finish the corner and you're underneath somebody.
Start 10th, running 11th. Here's radio for Team 8.
These guys are good. I agree. If they can get it big, they great. Like, good.
Such a fine line of being able to put the throttle down, but when you get to the center of the corner, you roll a little partial throttle to it, and you want to put it all the way down. late center part of the corner because the straightaways are so long here, Clint.
Yeah, they are. That momentum carried. It goes all the way through the corner, though. If you're not carrying momentum off the corner, you get bogged down on the bottom like you see Logano. You just talked about it at the front of the pack with McDowell and Bell. They hold you down and take that exit way from you. There's your speed. That's your momentum all the way down that long straightaway. Got to reset, get another run at him, and make another attempt.
And what a different racetrack this is from the one they practiced on yesterday. Had to be wholesale changes between the track conditions they found when it was almost raining and cool yesterday morning. Now,
Well, that's what they get paid the big bucks for, Mike. They had to make a lot of guesses overnight as to what the pace was going to be and how much slower that pace was going to be to get your cars low enough to the ground. But here, if your car is too low to the ground, it's almost uncomfortable to drive on the straightaway with as hard as it sits on the limiters in order to be where it needs to be through the corner.
See, that's the hardest thing. As I listen to you talk about that, you have to go into more in depth. Like the grip that comes in these new race cars comes from the ride heights. And when that temperature changes, the speed changes in it. And if that thing isn't adjusted correctly, your day might as well be junk. It is all in the ride heights, and that is a little bit of it. Still, with all the science in these cars, it's still a guessing game as to figuring out what the pace is going to be.
Yeah, you want the back of that car as low as you can get it with that diffuser on the back. The lower you keep it to the ground, the more downforce that it makes. So you're talking sometimes 150 pounds of downforce if you get your heights off too much, maybe by 1/8 of an inch.
let's check with Jamie.
We heard the radio of Kyle Busch. Remember, he's been so good here. Finished. Hey, where's the tire? For the most part, they kept it the same, and you don't hear that too often. You heard on the radio, a lot of these cars loose. He's a little tight. He continues getting.
This weekend, Kyle Busch currently back in the 15th place position. Your top 10 on lap 14, coming to lap 15 in this race as Michael McDowell still in the race lead. He's led every lap from the pole. Christopher Bell is still in second, Ryan Blaney third, Austin Cindric fourth, Denny Hamlin fifth, Tyler Reddick sixth, Ty Gibbs seventh, William Byron eighth, Bubba Wallace ninth, Joey Logano is 10th. So again, that is the top 10 in the running order here in the first 15 laps of the race. Quick update on where the drivers were from the predictions portion of the live stream before the race began, where they're at here, at least in the early going. The three don't haves of the Hendrick cars, one of which is in the top 10. That one is Byron, who is up to 8th place. He's gained 3 positions from the start. Alex Bowman is still outside the top 10 and 13th, and Chase Elliott is 14th. The sleeper picks for this weekend had Carson Hocevar started in the back half of the field. He's worked himself up 3 positions from the start to 19th place. The other ones are in the top 10 right now, still of McDowell, who is obviously leading, and Austin Cindric, who fell behind to 5th on the initial start, got back to 4th place after this most recent restart. And the 3 must-have picks, Ryan Blaney, who was my pick to win, is in 3rd. Joey Logano is in the top 10 for the first time today in 10th. And the other must-have would have been Kyle Busch, who again has faded to 15th off this initial start of the race. That one caution took place on lap 3 off the exit of turn 2. And our early average race speed is 91.27 miles per hour, just over 13 minutes from the drop of the green flag to where we're at right now. And again, that was the only caution of the race, by the way, back on lap 3. Well, I say that, and now we're under caution again. During the commercial break, the yellow flag's out. Second caution of the day, lap 16. Right after they went to commercial break. Not sure exactly who it is yet, but you will get to listen into the Fox broadcast when they come back from the commercial break. We'll take a break of our own here first while we're waiting on them to come back. You're listening live to the Enjoy Illinois 300 on KRC. So again, our second caution of the race. In these first 16 laps here in this very short 45 lap stage 1. Still under commercial. Cody Ware involved in another incident. It looks like two-car incident on the backstretch with Cody Ware and Derek Kraus. So two of the more inexperienced drivers in the field, bringing out our second caution of the day. So Cody Ware, Derek Kraus.
18 laps complete at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Again, action off number 2. Derek Kraus and Cody Ware. Ware in his second start of the season.
2 starts, 2 spins.
Where he finished 24th.
This is the one that's going to shake the strategy up, Larry. You think?
I think we will see a mixed bag of strategy, especially in the back of the pack, because what this would do is open the door to something even more creative at the end of stage 1, especially if you're on back of the pack.
A lot of pit crews on the wall.
Yeah, this is some of the worst time to be the leaders, right? You want to keep that track position, but all of a sudden everybody starts to get a step up on you on the strategy.
Here they come. It's those drivers that they were needing it. Need no more. Here comes Keselowski, Busch.
Stage 1 is only 45 laps in.
So again, fuel not an issue for the drivers who stayed out to make it to the end of this first stage. That fuel window is about 60 to 70 laps. And we saw, obviously, with this first stage only being 45 laps, we knew that not everybody was going to pit. But 2 early cautions have allowed for these teams to go off strategy in the back half of the field, take a pit stop in the hopes that they can out during this caution, and more than likely will pit during the lap 45 yellow for the stage end. As mentioned by Mike Joy on the pre-race on Fox's side of things, that there has not been any green flag pit stops in the 2 cup races here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and that's even with the final 2 stages of the race, each of these, what is now 3 races at the track, counting today, being longer than a full field run. That is because of the cautions that have come out in these first 2 races at Gateway in the Cup Series. We saw 5 yellows in the truck race yesterday, 1 in each stage. Already more cautions for incident in the first 16 laps of today's race than what we saw in the first 70 laps during yesterday's Truck Series race. Really, the first 100. That third and last caution for incident came at lap 120 in that race yesterday, so definitely a more wild start to this one. Usually you'd be saying that about the Truck Series, not the Cup side, but both these wrecks at the very back of the pack. Again, Cody Ware involved in both, and Jonathan Nemechek also involved in that first one, and an incident in the second one for Derek Kraus. Ware's the only driver not on the lead lap right now as they continue to make changes to his race car on pit road. Karina Corona, Donna Stantz, DHP, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Picked up 2 new diecasts. Number 5, Cardot Larson. And number 25. So it tells me we're going to get 10 or more cautions this race. That could happen. We're on pace. 300-mile race, though. Not very long for a Cup Series race, but it may feel long with the amount of cautions we've seen in the early going if this keeps up. Surprised to see Barry Pitt going forward in 16th. Yeah, he's on the move. He got up to 16th after starting 29th. But with the 3 cars pitting ahead of him, I think he came down 2, thinking the rest of the field was going to pit. I don't mind it. Might as well stay on the same strategy as the drivers around you. Because if he would have stayed out, he only would have gained a couple positions, and he would have been the last one of those on older tires, although there isn't a lot of fall off, and we really have only had about 10 green flag laps in this race. So there's that too.
On the radio and said, whatever it was, whatever you guys just did, it fixed the problem.
Thanks, Jamie. The other issue on pit road, Ricky Stenhouse. Fast entering. He restart at the rear. Everybody on the lead lap except Cody Ware, who is 1 lap down. 21 complete. Michael McDowell again choosing the outside. Christopher Bell had a good restart last time, but could not take the lead away from McDowell.
Well, we'll see if he can do it this time. Stayed side by side off the exit of turn 2. That was about all the further Bell got in his side by side battle with McDowell for the lead on the last restart. Green flag is back in the air. And all 3 times, McDowell has been on the outside lane of the front row. Bell door to door, trying to get back to the gas as soon as he can. Staying side by side for now. Middle down the back stretch. He has to fall in line to that outside lane right behind the 34. So very much a carbon copy of what we saw in the restart beforehand is what we see now. A lot of 3 wide battling, 3 by 3 just outside the top 10, through 3 and 4 and off the exit of the corner down the front stretch. Byron and Gibbs door to door for the 6th place position inside the top 10 as well. Tyler Reddick has lost a couple spots now on 2 consecutive restarts. He went from 4th to 6th the last restart and 6th to 8th on this one. Logano and Wallace battle for 9th, with Alex Bowman hot on both their heels. Logano on the inside, Wallace on the outside. Wallace clear off turn 4 now. And Logano did not qualify as good as his Penske teammates in this one after being faster than both of them in practice. A little loose getting back to the full throttle off the exit of turn 2 on his lone qualifying lap yesterday, and caused him to qualify 12th, and he's only gained a couple positions from the start. What is a very difficult track to pass on, and we haven't had a lot of green flag laps anyway in this race with the cautions. Change at some point, you'd have to imagine. 21 laps to go yet in stage 1. Obviously a long ways to go still in this race entirely. All 25 laps so far in this one have been led by Michael McDowell, the pole sitter. We'll go through the full field running order now, following our following our second caution of the race, and off of this next restart. Michael McDowell still out in front of the field. He's 0.2 of a second ahead of Christopher Bell in P2. Ryan Blaney is still 3rd. Austin Cindric 4th. Denny Hamlin is in 5th. William Byron 6th. Ty Gibbs 7th. Tyler Reddick 8th. Joey Logano 9th. And Chase Elliott's in the top 10 for the first time today in 10th. Bubba Wallace falls to 11th. Kyle Larson 12th. Alex Bowman 13th. Ross Chastain 14th. And Eric Jones up to 15th. 16th is Ryan Preece. Todd Gilliland 17th. Carson Hocevar 18th. John Nemechek 9th. Trix Jr. back to 23rd. He also pitted during that last caution. Chase Briscoe 24th. Corey LaJoie 25th. Josh Berry 26th. 27th for Corey LaJoie now. Berry up to 25th, getting 2 spots that last lap. Gregson's 26th, so they've changed the order a little bit there. Austin Dillon behind them is in 28th. Chris Buescher 29th. Harrison Burton 30th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 31st. 32nd for Daniel Hemrick. Brad Keselowski 33rd. Daniel Suarez 34th. Derek Kraus 35th. And Cody Ware, the only car lap down, in 36th. All 36 cars are still on the racetrack in the early going of today's Enjoy Illinois 300, again at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. So 17 laps to go in this first stage. Pretty much single file through most of the field. Get into the very back half outside the top 20. Seen a little bit of changing for position going on. A couple of the SHR Fords are battling with each other. 3 of them, in fact, in the picture. in a 3-car battle for 24th between Barry, Briscoe, and Gregson. Barry on the outside of Briscoe was moving forward again, gained 13 positions initially on those first two, the start and then the restart of this race. Pitted on pit road with about a dozen or so drivers. Lost some track position in the pits, and now having to gain some of that back. Still a ways to go. And what is a relatively short race. We knew this first stage was going to be short anyway. Obviously, it's much shorter than the other two stages in this one, but down to 15 to go. And we've got a battle for the lead now between Christopher Bell and Michael McDowell, and even Ryan Blaney in third is closing the gap on the leaders. It's a 3-car breakaway at the front of the field, and he got about a 1.5 gap back to Cindric in fourth. A couple of these guys get to side by side. It could allow the pack to start to get a little bit more tighter together up at the front. But for right now, the top three are breaking away and still single file. Bell definitely lost ground in turns 1 and 2 on Michael McDowell this lap. 3 and 4 the lap before, he gained a ton on the 34 car in front of him. McDowell definitely quicker that last time by overall. A bit of a charge. Higher you run in the corner, the more likely you are going to have more speed down the straightaways. So Blaney definitely trying to pick up there. And our scheduled caution for the stage 1 break is at lap 45. Stages 2 and 3 are 95 and 100 laps. So maybe we'll see green flag pit stops in the final two stages, but won't see any here in this one. But split strategy with some drivers pitting during the caution in the middle going to the stage, just 16 laps into the race. At the restart in right around the halfway mark of the stage, and those drivers that pitted, you'd have to imagine, are going to stay out when the stage comes to an end. Although, you never know. Could be drivers just further back in the field that just needed an adjustment that desperately as well. Maybe they'll come back in and continue to adjust on their cars. Maybe not. Bell's closing quite quicker on McDowell again. They've got a side-by-side commercial break going on right now on FS1. 10 to go in the stage this time by. Sure to hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content as well. Almost through the end of stage 1 in this one. Our goal is to get to 150 likes on this stream. We're currently at 50 as we speak. So again, one stay out in front here. He's more than likely in a must-win situation to make the playoffs, but still be huge for him to score a bunch of stage points. We've only had one road course race this season. Many more to go into the summer months. That is obviously the expertise for McDowell. So not only could compete for more wins there, but maybe creep up on that cutoff line more and more as we get deeper into the summer. He gets consecutive good runs going for him. He's had a good run on flat track so far this season. He had a top 10 at Phoenix earlier this year, and he also had a top 10 in the All-Star race a couple weeks ago at North Wilkesboro, finished 9th. On top of the speed he showed last season, finishing in the top 10 at Gateway, and obviously qualifying on the pole and running top 10 overall in practice yesterday as well. Big slide job by Larson as he gets by Bubba Wallace through turns 3 and 4. That pass was made for 11th place on the 37th lap of the race. McDowell up off the curbing in the bottom of turns 1 and 2. Bell up higher, and Blaney went right down to the bottom. All three of those top three drivers in 3 different grooves. Bell with a run, looking to the inside, and he's trying to make the pass for the lead. Playoff point on the line here. Bell got a few of them with a win and a stage win last week in the 600. And as he continues to battle McDowell, but McDowell much too great of a run off the exit of turn 4. Keeps his way out in front of Bell for at least a little bit longer. A failed pass attempt allows Blaney to reel in even closer to the two cars in front of him. The top three all within 0.4 of a second of each other. Tighter gap again into 3 and 4 between Bell and McDowell. Getting by Bubba Wallace for 12th. Wallace has lost 5 positions from his 8th place starting spot now. And Ross Chastain is looking to get by both of them. No stage points on the line for them. Only the top 10 receive stage points at the end of the first 2 stages. 1 point per position, a playoff point to the stage winner, 10 regular season points for him as well. Bell again to the inside of McDowell, the 3rd time he's gotten underneath him. This is the closest he's been to clearing the 34 car, but he still can't clear. He's going to be more aggressive at the side draft on the front stretch now. Side by side still, 5 to go in stage 1. Bell going to try to take McDowell's line away. No contact, but he's definitely not giving him a lot of room. And Bell is clear finally off the exit of turn 2. And although he was clear, McDowell had a much better run off the exit of the corner. Gets back to the outside of Bell into 3 and 4. McDowell is not done fighting for this lead. Right in line behind Bell at the line, 4 to go in the stage, door to door. I should say bumper to bumper, rather, in the battle for the lead, but Bell did overtake him that last time off turn 2. And now McDowell in traffic for the first time today, behind the 20 of Bell. Leaders have not caught up to the back of the field in lap traffic with the 2 early cautions. So no lap traffic to be had here in stage 1. And now Blaney looks to attack for 2nd place on the 34 of McDowell before the end of the stage, try to pick up another point. And Blaney just inside the cutoff line. A little over 40 points to the good. On fellow Fords Briscoe and Logano into the day. Briscoe not in the top 10, and Joey Logano barely inside it. So Logano looking at a couple stage points here in this first stage. Each of the top 4 positions, though, all qualified in the top 4. That's why track position's so vital at this racetrack. Busch won from the pole last season in this race at Gateway. Lap and a half to go in stage 1. McDowell's extended his lead by a few car lengths over McDowell since passing him a few laps ago. Ryan Blaney is within about a car length and a half behind McDowell into 3 and 4, coming up on the final lap of stage 1 this time by. Blaney to the inside, McDowell to the outside. McDowell going to have a greater run down the front stretch, and Blaney going to try to stay in the draft down this long straightaway to try to mitigate the amount of speed that McDowell was gaining that last time by. Now Blaney goes a bit wider through 1 and 2. McDowell not all the way to the curbing, at least on his entry. By the exit he does. Kind of diamond cut the corner off through 1 and 2 that time. Get more of a straight line exit. Worked out well for him. He's got one more corner to try and stay in front of Blaney before pit stops will loom at the end of the stage. Blaney on the left rear corner panel of McDowell, but can't get underneath him. Michael didn't give him a chance to. Stage 1 in the books. Christopher Bell will pick up another playoff point. Bell wins stage 1 at Gateway. Picking up where he left off after winning the last couple stages of the Coke 600 a week ago. The 5th stage win of the season for Christopher Bell, 2nd most in the NASCAR Cup Series. Michael McDowell 2nd from the pole in this stage. Ryan Blaney started 3rd, finishes 3rd. Austin Cindric lost 2 spots from the start as he finishes 4th in stage 1. Denny Hamlin 5th, William Byron 6th. Ty Gibbs 7th, Tyler Reddick 8th. Joey Logano 9th, and Chase Elliott 10th. That was your top 10 at the end of stage 1. We'll take our second ad break. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300 at Gateway, the NASCAR Cup Series right here on the channel. Both diecast part of Hendrix. Well, I have 2 diecast showings of my own here for this race today, and the reason why I have 2 is because I was going to do 2 during our Coke 600 live commentary stream a week ago. And the reason why I didn't get to 2 of them is because we had the Indy 500 overlapping with the Coke 600. So we only, and we had the race range shortened, so never got to the end of stage 3 to get the second diecast showing out. So when they come back from the commercial break, I'll grab a diecast that I haven't shown off to you guys yet this season, and we'll have our first of 2 diecast showings for today's race, but I'll wait for them to come back from the commercial break, so there's a little bit of audio playing while I have to get up from my seat. Because I don't have it next to me right now at the start. I was a little unprepared there. Good points for Denny Hamlin here early in the stage. He gets 6 points. Larson and Truex, who were 5 and 6 points behind him for the regular season championship chase, each get 0. So Hamlin extends his points lead in the early going of this race today at Gateway. A little less than 200 laps to go overall. As we'll begin stage 2, and again, pit stops will be coming up here very shortly. So the stage yellow is our third caution of the day, and the only driver who was a lap down, mainly due to the incidences from stage 1, Cody Ware, will get the free pass. So all 36 cars will be back on the lead lap when we get back to racing.
Roughnecks against the membership. 70s, John Fox and the Fox. Places that you go to see events supported more than here in St. Louis.
I was going to say it was great atmosphere, great crowd.
Nice crowd on hand there and here. Worldwide Technology Raceway, which has announced a sellout of this event. And boy, that stream of traffic from early morning was non-stop until about 15 minutes ago.
It sure was, Mike. I mean, a steady. You knew we were down there in the TV compound and looking up there, just a steady stream of cars coming in. Love it.
Yeah, my Uber driver wasn't very good this morning. We were a little late. Pulled up to the stoplight, didn't know we were going. He was lost.
Mike, don't let him do me that way. It was me.
Yeah, definitely did not get a tip. No tip. No.
All right.
That's
And
great.
more gas. I don't know how.
Hey, man, you need a little bit of adventure in your life, Kevin.
What we need is we need some cameras because we could put on a great reality show behind the scenes.
Well, here's what we're about to have. Cars will enter the pit lane on the backstretch, come around, hit pit road speed, and we're going to give you a different view of pit stops because both our reporters, Regan Smith and Jamie Little, are up on top of the war wagon.
You heard Travis Peterson tell Mike McDowell and everybody that pit stall's worth 1 second. Let's see if he can get this lead back.
All right, Regan, they're on pit road.
Mike, that's right. They are coming around the pit access road to get to pit road right now. This is the moment where Alan Gustafson will call his driver, Chase Elliott, into the box. They are the final stall on pit road. It should be the easiest stall to get into for him as a driver. They are going to stop him short. You'll see Alan is actually down on the ground level of the pit stall. He plays a big part in this stop. He has to roll the left rear tire. Chase stops short. It's marks right where they want him to. The 74 to Zanesfield will be coming around in just a moment. It's a target. Looks like a good stop for Chase Elliott. Jamie?
Denny Hamlin gets the countdown from his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, who is on top of the box. They're stopping him short. Remember the issues he had last week. He has plenty of room out ahead of him. You see those marks with tape right in the box. They roll the tire. They want to be able to get around Michael McDowell and Frank Burns. They work on the left side, and he's off. Denny Hamlin struggling with the different issues in the car for the long haul. So they made some adjustments. We'll talk to his crew chief in just a moment.
Regan.
Well, Mike, we're going to come around to the front of the pit box here. Alan Gustafson looked like a good stop for your number 9 guy. They did the best on pit road this year to the point. They did their job right there, it looked like.
Yeah, good stop. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but come out 11th with 4 tires, or I think 4 or 5 got 2 in front of us, so happy with that. Box worked out well, so yeah, let's go race stage 2.
Looking good so far. Thanks. Jamie?
listening to the radio for Denny Hamlin, struggling with some things for the long run. He said that he's a little loose on 4, wanted to maybe tighten it up a little bit. What do you do there? What'd you do for adjustments?
Well, I mean, the track's taking everybody by a little bit of a surprise today with the sun being out more than we expected and pace. But it's really just track position. That's kind of same old Gateway. You've seen some cars get pretty desperate there. 2 tires staying out, that kind of thing. That's going to be the fight all day long and just be all about ended up in the front when it matters.
Thanks, Chris. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Todd Gilliland is the race leader. He pitted at lap 5 and stayed on track. It did not stop.
All right, so a couple of 2-tire stops. Todd Gilliland stays out of the pits completely, so he'll be the race leader, assuming he doesn't come in after everybody else has already exited pit road. And the guy who won the last stage, Christopher Bell, looks to be in 10th for the restart. So again, a lot of 2-tire stops for the drivers up at the front of the field, or they just stayed out entirely. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, those drivers who stayed out entirely would be the drivers who pitted during the latest caution that we had back at stage 1, which was at lap 16. By the time we went green, it was a little after lap 20, so about halfway through the first stage. And those drivers are going to have roughly 20 plus lap older tires, a little more than 20 lap older tires, because we didn't get another caution for incident the rest of the way after that restart from the lap 16 caution. This will be the closest restart to that at about lap 52-ish. Oh, I didn't get the die cast when I was up. Well, I'll get it later. We'll get to 2 of them at some point in time during this stream. I was so zoned in on watching the race off of pit road that I missed it. Missed my cue to get the die cast. Hugo Correa, thanks for tuning in. So far, our current points leader Hamlin having a great start to the day. Former points leader Larson is struggling. Yep. That is a good assessment. I kind of figured the Chevys would struggle in this race, and that has definitely been the case so far. A lot of Chevys in the top 10 now at the field flipping by way of strategy from the cautions laid out the way they were in stage 1 to where we're at right now to begin stage 2. 5 cars, Jeff Bodine. The 25 is Ken Trader. Oh, okay, so you went like old school. I just would have automatically assumed it was like a Brian Vickers and a Terry Labonte, but we definitely, I think that goes to show we definitely had some different childhoods. That Schrader Budweiser paint scheme, though, and the Bud 25 car, I did really like that. That was before my childhood, but he did get a win in that car. A couple of them, I think. I know he has a couple cup wins. I'm trying to think if they were both in that car or not. Definitely won at least one race with them. I think anybody who's ever started a cup race for Hendrick Motorsports as a full-time driver at least had one for Hendrick Motorsports. Like, even Casey Mears won the Coke 600 one year. Like, I know his fuel mileage, but still. I can't think of anybody who didn't. Vickers obviously won for Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know who didn't win for him. Ricky Craven won for him. Oh, no, you know what? Now that I think about it, no, Ricky Craven didn't win for him. I think both of his wins were in the 32 Tide Ride.
Breeze. Senior, stop Michael McDowell. Remember Travis Peterson saying that they had an extra second because of that last pit stop. Here's where they used it. Making that adjustment.
Yeah, and that's about a second penalty on your pit stops. Just making that adjustment slows that pit stop down about 1 second. So he didn't regain the track position on the guys that he pitted with, but those 8 cars in front of the guys with 4 tires, that's going to be a long stage to get that track position back.
Yep.
So McDowell came out second among the drivers who took 4 tires ahead of Cindric, Briscoe, Blaney, Hamlin, and Gibbs. Here's your credit one biggest movers, Todd Gilliland, because he stopped at lap 5 and has not stopped since. He is plus 34 to where he started this race. Josh Berry did not stop under this caution, so he is plus 26.
To come by on that racetrack, again, that strategy, when you know when those cautions are coming out 18, 19 laps into a race or a run, that creates that opportunity, and you got to take it. Track position's key.
And those guys pitted earlier, and track position is king. And I think it's going to be interesting to see the fall off in those cars to see if the guys on tires can actually make that ground up.
There's your Toyota Camry XSE leading the field around Worldwide Technology Raceway. So, Gilliland did not stop. He is the leader. Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, Derek Kraus did not stop. That's positions 2 through 6. Ryan Preece came in for right sides only. He's still on the left sides on which he started the race. Martin just got 2 tires, but he had taken 4 tires at lap 19 on the second caution of the day.
We used to always say, sometimes you have to pit like a loser to win these races because the
Pit
guys
like
in
a
the back,
loser.
they wind up with these scenarios where they give themselves more options, and it's going to be interesting.
Tire strategy out in abundance here in the early going of this one. Green flag back in the air. Todd Gilliland, the leader for the first time today, as he stayed out of the pits entirely on that last stop. But Kyle Busch is the one who's going to rocket past him on his way into turns 1 and 2. No contest there. Kyle Busch to the lead now for the first time. 4 wide off the exit of turn 2. Chase Elliott got pinched against the wall by Ryan Blaney, while Michael McDowell and Chase Briscoe race underneath them. Still 4 wide down towards turn 3. I don't think Elliott got in the wall too hard there. Doesn't seem like he's got any toe link issue. Didn't really lose much ground despite the contact. And he'll actually stay in front of the 12 cars. He runs side by side with Briscoe on the front stretch. More 3 wide racing just behind that group of cars. A lot of it, in fact, in the back portion of the field again. Elliott now finds his way to the inside lane as he looks to make another pass to get up towards the top 10. Got underneath Derek Kraus in the 16 car. But a quick restart for Kyle Busch, despite not being the control car. Got a better launch into turns 1 and 2. Maybe he was just way more aggressive with it than that of Todd Gilliland, who hadn't been in that position at this track before, where Busch has many times in the last couple seasons. Gilliland on the oldest left side tires of anybody from the start of the race, as he's still on the same lefts as well. And just not having a great car overall definitely is fading. His teammate Michael McDowell, much better than him all weekend. Practice qualifying, Bell second in stage 1. Gilliland, although in strategy was able to get out in front, doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep it. Gilliland's already fallen outside of the top 5. Back to 7th. Little bump draft on the backstretch. Elliott to the back of the 38 of Gilliland. Elliott alongside Cindric. They side drafted each other so much, though, that Chase Briscoe is going to make a dive underneath both of them, 3 wide into 3. Elliott clear of Cindric and Briscoe, and now goes after Gilliland to the inside into turns 1 and 2. All the 14 and the 2 cars still side by side behind him in a battle for 10th. Briscoe again on the bottom, Cindric on the outside. Power through the center of the corner for Briscoe, but couldn't pull clear, and now the power on the exit of the corner to the outside car of Cindric. So we'll try to clear him again on the back chute. Sorry for that. Tried to catch myself quickly. I think it would have been better off if I just kept going with it at that point. Pretty big lead, though, for Kyle Busch over his teammate Austin Dillon, who was able to get to second. So RCR 1-2 at the front of the field for probably the first time this season. 0.8 of a second difference between Busch and Dillon. Josh Berry in third is 1.1 seconds off the lead. Christopher Bell 1.4 seconds back in fourth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 1.8 seconds off the lead in fifth. Martin Truex Jr. in sixth place is 2.1 seconds off the lead. Ryan Preece is 2.6 seconds back in seventh. Chase Elliott in eighth, 3.1 seconds off the lead. Austin Cindric in ninth, 3.3 seconds back, and 3.8 seconds off the leader is the 10th place car of Chase Briscoe. So that is the top 10 and the intervals between each of those positions. Christopher Bell, the highest in the running order of those that took 4 tires during that last stop. He won stage 1 as well, and again is up to 4th. And quickly putting pressure on both Barry and Dillon for 2nd and 3rd place. Bell to the inside of Barry for 3rd. On the front stretch, near contact off the exit of turn 4. Both cars pushing hard. Bell clear into turns 1 and 2 on the bottom. Off the exit of the corner, slides up. Both thought about it. He second guessed himself. He stayed low. Barry had a bigger run off the exit of the corner than what he thought. He's going to have to try to pull clear off turn 4 again on the other side of the track. Clean air for both cars for the most part. Dillon running that middle groove where Bell was down all the way on the curbing on the bottom, and even wider was Barry on the outside, and Bell was able to clear up turn 4 for that P3 spot. Bell now looking back to the inside through turns 1 and 2 as he quickly tries to make work of Austin Dillon and try to run down the driver with the clean air of Kyle Busch in the early going of the race. Busch has led 9 laps now. Michael McDowell led the most in stage 1, leading the first 40 laps from the pole, and stage 1 winner Christopher Bell has only led 8 laps today. But he's trying to get to the lead before anybody else who has the 4 fresh tires trying to catch him from behind. It's really the only one that's actually able to pass a ton of cars here during this green flag run of those on older tires in front of him, or at least older left side tires at the very least. Equal right side tires. Bell to second, clear of Dillon off turn 2. Commercial break coming up on Fox Sports 1. We'll take an ad break of our own. You're listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300. Once again, be sure to hit the like button if you have not done so yet on the stream. Helps these streams out a ton. Subscribe for more NASCAR content as well. We have live NASCAR commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend for Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series races. Also have live commentary for every Cup practice and qualifying session on the season. And we've got a couple of full practice sessions, 50 minutes the next couple of weeks. We had a 30-minute practice session this week with a new tire for this track compared to last season. So an extra 10 minutes, but we'll get a full 50-minute practice for the Cup Series at Sonoma next week and the week after at Iowa. Iowa, of course, a new track to the Cup Series is why they're getting a full practice session there. And there was a repave from last season to this season at Sonoma leading up to the practice session there next week. Those practice sessions, I believe, are both taking place on a Friday. And then, obviously, we'll have our Saturday coverage with the Xfinity race and then Cup qualifying as well for a doubleheader. And the main event, of course, on Sunday at the Cup races for both Sonoma and Iowa. And again, next weekend at Sonoma will be the last weekend for Fox's portion of the NASCAR Xfinity and NASCAR Cup schedule. They will still be hosting the remainder of the Truck Series schedule for this season, per usual with this TV contract. And I believe the TV contract starting next year as well will still have the trucks on Fox from start to finish of the season. I don't think that's going to change at all, if I remember correctly. So, again, Fox for the Truck Series races the rest of the year. But Cup and Xfinity headed to USA Network and NBC for the rest of the season here in a couple weeks. Full field running order then at lap 67 of 240 in this one. Again, Kyle Busch in the lead. Christopher Bell now right behind him in second. Austin Dillon third. Josh Berry fourth and Martin Truex Jr. fifth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is sixth. Chase Elliott seventh. Ryan Preece eighth. Austin Cindric ninth. And Chase Briscoe is 10th. Ryan Blaney in 11th. Denny Hamlin 12th. Kyle Larson 13th. Michael McDowell 14th. Todd Gilliland 15th. 16th is Bubba Wallace. Ty Gibbs 17th. Joey Logano 18th. Brad Keselowski 19th. And Alex Bowman is 20th. Justin Haley 21st, William Byron 22nd, Ross Chastain 23rd, 24th for Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher 25th, Derek Kraus 26th, Daniel Suarez 27th, Eric Jones 28th, Carson Hocevar 29th, and John Hunter Nemechek is 30th. Noah Gragson is 31st, 32nd for Harrison Burton, Cody Ware 33rd, Corey LaJoie 34th, Zane Smith 35th, and Daniel Hemrick 36th. All 36 cars still in the race and on the lead lap. 3 cautions, 2 for incident in stage 1. A stage 1 break at lap 45 is our most recent yellow. And we haven't had a caution, obviously, yet here in stage 2. Stage 2 is 95 laps and will end at lap 140, as the final stage will be 100 to take us to the finish. Average race speed to this point, 92.9 miles per hour, a little less than an hour into this race. Bell to the lead.
Just a tremendous
Well, it's like we talked earlier. He can run the bottom of that racetrack. He gets some traffic, and he just goes the opposite. Whichever car.
You say opposite direction. You mean left? It's left a lot better.
Well, I'm in idle. Hey, and it goes left.
Pretty good at turning left.
William Byron working on Justin Haley there for 21st. Let's check with Regan.
But Mike, early on, it's been a tale of 2 races for Martin Truex Jr. running in the 4th position right now. Pit stop at lap 19. They took 4 tires so they could take 2 tires on the next stop. But after that first pit stop, it was loose in. It was tight in the middle. It was loose off. No rear grip. On the 2 tire stops, they got the track position. Now he is very happy with the 19 car. Has not said a word and loves what it's doing. And the 4 car, Josh Berry, gets a little bit loose right now, running in the pit position. They thought it might take him a few laps to get acclimated to the racetrack, only because he has not run here to Cup car yet, but going well right now. Jamie?
Regan, one of the big surprises down here so far today, Joey Logano on the 22 team back in 17th. Yesterday in practice, we all talked about how fast he was on the long run. Talking to all my crew chiefs in my section this morning, they just said that 22 wasn't high speed. Hasn't been able to go anywhere, saying no. To move off the track on the bottom, just
It's Jamie. Kyle Larson there coming after the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Denny Hamlin just ahead. Larry, these last 2 stages are nearly equal length, 95 laps and 100 laps, something that we rarely see. How does that change your options for how to play this second stage?
Yeah, Mike, almost every week I do strategy. It's split the stages in half. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs this week. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs last night, and most of them are saying that with the fall off that we have, which is not much, they're going to run it just as long as they possibly can. When you look at guys like Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Martin Truex Jr., guys that pitted on lap 19, they can go to about lap 95 to 100. If you pitted on lap 49, you'll be able to run about lap 125, maybe as far as lap 130.
And I think they're the ones that, now that this cycled through with enough green flag laps here, Kyle Busch and company, even RCR as a whole, Austin Dillon, even Barry, it's going to fall right in their lap, Kevin.
I think you're right. And Michael McDowell, our pole sitter right here, has not fallen into his lap.
Nor Blaney, right? The guys that they're the ones that got hurt the worst there in that.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes when you're leading or running in the top 10, you think, I got to keep my track position. It's hard to tell yourself that you need to come down pit road. But if those guys pull down pit road, guess what? The rest of the pack's going to stay out. They're going to do the exact opposite of what you do, no matter what you do. But Michael McDowell's struggling now that he's in the middle of the pack. You see the back of his car. Sorry, Mike. You see the back of his car really bouncing around, which tells me that it's on those limiters pretty aggressively, or not enough.
Yeah,
one or the other.
On this exit of 2, Kevin, is what I noticed it the most. Watch this as it gets on the straight. Watch this thing start bouncing. Right there on those bumps.
And that's one thing that Bell's car does really well. The ride is just so much better than everybody else's, and they're able to to keep that car more consistent, which a lot of times that's what you want. Less variance in the back moving around, so that diffuser underneath the car that makes all the downforce doesn't move as much, so it consistently makes more downforce.
And it's faster. Bell is 0.4 seconds faster than the McDowell-Logano battle that we were just watching.
And he's got clean air, but I mean, Kevin's right. He's spot on. That thing does not move around. It is stuck to the ground and making some massive grip. It is lap times improvement.
Yeah, he's making grip and able to rotate through the center of the corner. This car is the same way. And I think when Truex gets 4 tires on that car, and I think they're going to be in the game too.
Josh Berry in fifth. He's not been to pit road since lap 19. Same as Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, and Ricky Stenhouse.
Josh Berry, this strategy has really paid off for them.
This is the one, he bounced off the wall off of two, and I don't know if it hurt his toe length or not, but Chase Elliott, he definitely hit the wall pretty hard on the outside of a four wide and pushed into the wall.
Yeah, usually when you hit them kind of square like that and you're not kind of hanging the back out, usually it's okay. These things are pretty durable when you hit them square, but if you definitely catch them with a tire turn or something, it'll tear the car up. Worked out well for Ricky Stenhouse as well on that strategy side of things, and these guys are showing that they had more speed in their cars than we thought they did for the first run when they got into cleaner air.
Yeah, Stenhouse overcoming a penalty for speeding back in lap 19 on pit road. And Austin Cindric, who started this race from the front row, is second from the start here, currently in eighth. Restarted 10th. Ryan Blaney restarted 13th. He's up to 9th.
Yeah, and I think these guys are a little surprised with where their car is. I think today, in listening to that pre-race radio and the lap times and everything from yesterday, we talked about this last night, Clint. We were worried a little bit about the Fords because yesterday morning presented a great scenario for them to make good grip and kind of have those cool temperatures. And now that it's hot and you're depending more on the actual car, it's been a struggle.
See, they like that clean air a lot better than this dirty air back here in 9th and 10th lane. We're struggling.
80 laps complete in St. Louis. Hendrick Motorsports, remembering Rick Hendrick's wife's Linda's mother, Helen Myrick, who passed away this week. Rick Hendrick says she was our team's biggest fan.
Another full screen commercial break for Fox on their FS1 broadcast. Christopher Bell has jumped out to an 1.8 second lead over Kyle Busch. Austin Dillon still remains in the third place position. He's 2.5 seconds back. Martin Truex Jr. 2.7 seconds off the lead in fourth. Josh Berry 4.9 seconds back in fifth. Chase Elliott 6.2 seconds off the lead in sixth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 8.3 seconds back in seventh. Austin Cindric 8.4 seconds back, right behind Stenhouse in eighth. Ryan Blaney not too much further behind them in ninth. He's 9 seconds off the lead, and Denny Hamlin 9.9 seconds back in 10th. That is the top 10 in the running order, and again, the intervals between them as we have reached lap 82 of 240 in this Enjoy Illinois 300 at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Again, we'll take another ad break. You're listening live on KRC to our full flag-to-flag coverage of this NASCAR Cup Series Sunday afternoon race. So again, Bell winning stage 1 in this one. He has led 22 laps and is still the race leader. I should say has regained the race lead. This is the second different time he's led. The only driver who has led more than once today is Bell. 15 laps led at the beginning of the stage for Kyle Busch when he jumped out to the lead. 6 laps led for Todd Gilliland under the caution before we went green after he stayed out of the pits entirely. He has not pitted since lap 5. 40 laps led from the pole for Michael McDowell. 4 different drivers have led, 4 lead changes amongst them, 3 cautions, 2 for incident, both of them in stage 1. Our average race speed is 97.84 miles per hour at this point, and we have currently been green in this race for over an hour. At least the race has started just over an hour ago from where we're at right now. So still in the early going with that being said, as we're just over an hour into this one. 62 likes on the stream. Again, our goal is to get to 150, so be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. 122 votes in the chat poll. I asked you who you thought would win today's race, per usual with the chat poll, and you have until the end of stage 2 to cast your vote there. 49% of you say somebody other than Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, or Joey Logano will win. Well, with Bell looking like the fastest car in the early going of the race, winning stage 1, leading the race right now, that could very well be true. My pick, Ryan Blaney, had 11% of the votes. Joey Logano had 11% as well. And Kyle Busch getting 29% after leading 15 laps here in the early going. So again, you have until the end of the second stage there. And you also have till the end of the second stage to submit your fantasy lineups with your starting 5 in the Fantasy League and in our KRC League. So don't forget about that. Again, lap 140 will be the end of stage 2. That's about 54 laps from now.
6 laps complete. We're at lap 41 of 95 in stage number 2. Christopher, 3-second lead on the RCR. Look at this 7th place race, and that's audio from Chase Elliott in 6th place. Clint, you were right. He says the toes knocked out a mile.
I was afraid of it. Watch right here on the outside. Get squeezed into the wall 4 wide. See Briscoe, McDowell, Blaine, boom, right there. Got squeezed in the wall. Hit it pretty hard with that right rear.
He's riding fine, though.
Yeah, Blaney and Elliott, they were actually banging fenders before he even got to the wall. I think Blaney probably saw those cars below him before Chase did, and he had nowhere to go.
7th place here.
Hey, he's still holding pretty strong, though.
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as he sounded on the radio,
Still 6th.
this thing's ranked 6th.
And up 11 positions from the restart, that being Chase Elliott.
He'll be fine.
Ricky Stenhouse trying to hold on with 10s. Now the teammates took around.
Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse. Austin Dillon looking to the inside of his teammate for second. Look at the outside, rather.
Yeah, Kyle's just
Gotta
let it
get
go.
That's exactly what he did. It flew down on the bottom, gave him the spot.
Dylan carrying the Rivers Are Life initiative on his car. Interesting graphic scheme, and he said they were out cleaning up streams this weekend. He told them to fix it now.
Ducks Unlimited on the side of it.
Long history here at St. Louis. I actually got my first win here with RCR in 2000. As you see Martin Truex go by.
I've seen a lot of things here over the years. You told me about tornado, about Bolivia. When saw your first tornado here?
Let's check with Larry.
Yeah, I've been watching Denny Hamlin in this 11 car. Right now, he's running back in 10th, right behind Ryan Blaney in that 12. And I had said it earlier, Ryan Blaney is going to 3rd gear at both ends of the racetrack. So earlier, Chris Gabehart said, try going to 3rd gear, both ends. That's what the 12 is doing. Pit stops it started.
Well, these are the cars that were not on pit road since lap 19. Read it.
It's playing out perfectly for Austin Dillon, though. When it's update to the team, he thinks it's really good. Don't touch the car. I absolutely love where it is right now. I love surprise. Look at the right there. The downstream rising shine light. Now watch just a little bit, and there's been here 4 tires, and they'll fill them out. Okay. Four car Josh Berry doing a great job. As I mentioned earlier, has not seen this place in terms of a cup car until yesterday. Not a lot of laps right now. Still getting some right grip early and late in the corners, meaning it's easy. Sliding to the cars more than I like, and getting a lot of updates from the team on what's working line-wise and what isn't.
Ricky Stenhouse and Gilliland also came to pit road. Lap 92. Christopher Bell continues to lead. He's got almost 5 seconds on Martin Truex now, and 9 on Chase Elliott. Bell has led more in the last 2 weeks than he did in the first 13 races this year.
Well, speed has definitely not been a problem for that 20 car. They've had some bad locks, bad pit stops, wrecks, mistakes, but they have had fast race cars all year.
Derek Roush, Justin Haley on the pit road, and Cody Ware.
And that's the hard part, right? The speed is the hard part. The rest you can work on and overcome. You just got to clean those up. Now let's see. Oh no, guys. Number 4, Josh Berry too fast exiting.
Gosh,
That's the dagger.
that'll be a drive-through pit road speed. Now, for this to work out, that for the cars that just pitted, the track is going to have to stay green until the rest of the field makes their stops. Here's Kyle Larson in.
Yes, sir. That's going to be your first, what I would consider
one of them on the same strategy. 45 laps to go in this stage.
Comes his teammate. No, excuse me, that's Denny Hamlin on the lead.
And Christopher Bell has come to the track apron and onto the access road that leads to pit road. Hamlin is in. Berry his penalty and goes on.
Much feedback today on the radio for drivers wanting more, wanting something different and better out of their race cars. Christopher Bell, on the other hand, he has been happy behind that wheel for the last stop as well, and now it's like it's where I need to be, and that helps me. Don't have to make those adjustments. Air pressure adjustments, hard to come up with for a long kid tires.
Wins the bank and a quick stop for Bell, who's led 34 laps today. Martin Truex Jr. had taken over the lead, but now he comes to pit road, Regan.
Mike, that's right. The 19 car, Mark Truex Jr., continuing to have a solid day after using strategy early on. Right now, told the team he is just losing too much right as the run progresses on. The 9 car of Chase Elliott, loose early on, got better this run, though, and you see 2 tires for him, a strategy play.
Chastain has been in and out. And Austin Cindric takes for the lead. From Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that come into this scenario as far as the time. We see some guys putting 2 tires on, some guys putting 4 tires on, but there's also no speed limit on that access road over there. So who's carried the most speed to gain that time that you can gain on the access road and keep it out of the dirt?
I think that's a very valid point, and probably one of the most, driver aided racetracks that you have as on and off of pit road. You can stand to gain a lot of ground behind the wheel. You don't have that option very often at most of the racetracks because of those access roads.
So as we begin to cycle through, Christopher Bell is back on the lead lap. So is Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin on back. Drivers that stopped are 1 lap down. Cindric was last on pit road at lap 49, and that is all of the top dozen cars right now.
Austin Cindric had a great day today. He's been consistently up in the front. See, leading some laps right now, but that car has been no slouch today. He's kept himself towards the front of the field for the majority of the race.
Ty Gibbs completes his stop, 4 tires and fuel. Bubba Wallace on his way in. And here's Gibbs leaving. Larry Sidney, the top 10 is full of nothing but blue ovals. What's up with that?
Well, I get a feeling, Mike, because they can go about another 20 laps, 20 plus laps. I get a feeling they're on the agenda this long. And of course, if they can catch a caution, that'll fall right in their wheelhouse.
Jamie?
Yeah, Austin Cindric leading right now. Two trains are best past show today. They look on different setups, have different strategies. They both came on the radio and told us it's 25 more laps. It's speed. It doesn't mean we're going to, but we can.
First last lap, 34.46. Some of the drivers with fresh tires, almost a second faster than that.
Coming down pit road.
So he is the first of the contending Fords to stop in this cycle. Cindric, Blaney, Priest, Keselowski, Briscoe, Logano, Fords in the top half dozen. And Alex Bowman Chevrolet. So a little more than midway through this green flag pit stop cycle, the first one we've ever had at this track in its 3-year Cup history.
Full screen commercial break right now on Fox, Fox Sports 1 that is specifically, and we will go through the first diecast showing of 2 on today's stream. We'll have the usual one at the end of stage 2, but obviously I'll have one right now because we were supposed to do 2 with the longest race of the season last weekend. It got rain shortened, plus with the Indy 500 coverage, I was only able to get 1. So we'll start off with this number 19 car I have, a number 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing, that is. and it is a semi-newer diecast of the ones I have at least. This is from the Gen 6 era, and this is a Carl Edwards diecast. Stanley paint scheme. I've really liked these Stanley schemes. They're kind of similar to the DeWalt with the black and the yellow, but I do like it. I like the Ambrose schemes that he had with Stanley on the car in his RPM days as well, but got this one. Figured, I always liked Carl Edwards growing up and stuff, so figured I'd get a Carl Edwards diecast. And this is the only one I have right now. I hope to have another one or two of his Roush cars at some point in time to add to the collection. But Toyota Camry, one of the few Toyota diecasts I actually have too. Actually, now that I think about it, so at first glance, I think this might be the only Toyota diecast I have. Definitely the only Toyota, at least with Joe Gibbs Racing diecast that I own. The other Joe Gibbs Toyotas, or the other Joe Gibbs cars that I have are either Pontiacs or Chevys at the time. They are not Toyotas like this one. And this is from the 2016 season, I do believe. And obviously, Carl Edwards had a very big year that year, made it to the championship four. Is actually his last season in the NASCAR Cup Series. So yeah, 2016, Carl Edwards, Stanley, Joe Gibbs Racing, Toyota Camry. And that will be our first diecast showing of the day. I'm sure there's quite a few Carl Edwards fans out there. Of course, it was announced recently, too, that Edwards was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame for next season's class as well. So part of the reason why I wanted to show that diecast out. Congratulations to him for making it into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's your favorite paint scheme? Wow, okay. I do like it. Hence the reason why I bought it. But yeah, I got that. Man, when did I buy that one? I think I got it at Talladega last year, if I'm not mistaken. It was either last year or the year before. I think I definitely remember buying it at Talladega because I can remember the specific tent vendor that I got it from. I don't know their name, but I can picture them by face. I know I got it at Talladega, but it might not have been last year when I bought it. It might have been the year before. I've been to Talladega 4 years in a row now, so one of those years. I know it wasn't the first year I went there. I feel like it was one of the more recent trips I went. So it was either last year or the year before when I went to Talladega and got that Carl Edwards diecast on my way back.
Coming in this place, a lot of tailgating. Spread Western Strap. Oh, right. Watch.
Now, crowd here in St. Louis watching Martin Truex
Retire.
in two. He slowed dramatically and has made his way around to pit road.
Is that an air pressure situation, Kevin?
Dang. It could be. I mean, you're going to want to run it as low as you can, and with the bumps and things that happen, I mean, it just you got to run it right on the edge.
11 of the top 12 right now will need a pit stop. Truex was running 11. And this will cycle Christopher Bell back to the lead. He's the only driver in the top 10 that has made this stop, as you can see on the pylon. Only 14 laps since he was last to pit road. As he goes by Noah Gregson.
You know, to add, if it was a possible air pressure issue, Goodyear says do not go lower than 14 psi in the left side tires. They go lower. But remember, that was a green flag stop. When you pit under caution or at the start of the race, you have time to kind of screw your tires in and get the air pressure built up. You make a green flag pit stop, you leave pit road, and you're wide open again.
We've seen that before.
So while we were away, Ryan Priestman and Daniel Springs, Chris Buescher, and Alex Bowman. That leaves 12 of them.
Got one on the wall. I don't know which one of those SHR cars. No, it's Josh Berry, Kevin. Is this a brake situation?
I'm good.
That'll put us under caution for the fourth time today.
I just saw it in the corner of that last shot. You saw that car shoot up the racetrack. It may look very reminiscent of what that same car did 2 years ago. Let's see.
The screen.
It is. I don't know that, or is that a tire that went down? Or maybe the rotor blew the tire.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. I mean, the left front tire is definitely high right there.
Right.
That car is fugazi for the rest of the day.
It's what?
Fugazi. Done. Beyond repair. That car was.
Barry on the radio said he blew a tire.
Well, another left side tire, right? Just like that right after the pits, just like the 19. I think he was looking at the rotors as well right there.
So there were 11 cars that had not yet come to pit road, and you see them all but Christopher Bell at the top of the running order, and Austin Dillon all the way down to Corey LaJoy. They are on the lead lap along with many of the quicker cars that had pitted. But from Ricky Stenhouse on back, everybody's one lap down as the AMR safety team has arrived on the scene there. So, Larry, what are the options for these drivers that have been trapped one lap down by this caution?
Well, it's no brainer, Mike. Take the wave around. But as you know, the only way the wave around works is if everyone in front of you that's on the lead lap comes to pit road. If one driver stays out, that will hinder you from getting that wave around because we've got a number of drivers like Mel, like Austin Dillon, like Kyle Busch. They may actually stay out. We're only going to go back racing with roughly about probably 20 laps to go in this stage.
So to your point, everybody down to Hocevar can pit without penalty because the first car then would be Christopher Bell if he chooses not to pit. That will Gregson, Burton, Hemrick, Smith, and LaJoy.
Those cars are all on the lead lap too. Mike got that wrong.
Man, very unfortunate for Josh Berry. We just talked to him in the pre-race. He was full of optimism, a lot of confidence going into this race. Certainly not what they were looking for. Been on a heck of a momentum swing there, moving up through the points, getting into that playoff scenario.
So here are the top six pitting. Cindric, Blaney, Kozlowski, Logano, Briscoe, and Hocevar. We'll see what happens from there. Regan.
Like Chase Briscoe, one of those cars catching this good break right here and being able to get some track position in fifth place right now. Sliding the right rear too much all the way around to the corner. He said it feels like it's way yacht out. And the 12 car Ryan Blaney right now, as well as 2-3, can't do anything to move around on the racetrack because of the looseness. Told him if it's a little bit tight, I can do more with the car than if it's loose. Jamie?
Track is happening this all time traffic, but said the car really came to him on the long run. Liked their X-Air 4 tires here. Considered not waiting on 4 tires.
Kyle, where's the first one off pit road? Now Christopher Bell stays out. That means the cars behind him will not be able to take the waiver right.
All right, so there you have it. Christopher Bell stays out of the pit. Caution late in stage 2. We'll restart with a little under 25 laps to go in the second stage. About the length of the green flag run that took us to the end of stage 1. We'll wait for our leaderboard to update before I give you guys who the top 5 are going to be. We do know Christopher Bell will be the leader, though, as he was in 7th, and the top 6 in front of him all pitted during this caution. This is our 4th yellow of the race, our first caution for incident in stage 2. Again, a left front tire failure for Josh Berry headed into turn 3, a hard hit into the wall. He did get out under his own power. And if we get an interview from him from the Infield Care Center following his release, then you will get to listen into that as well. So far, Michael McDowell has still led the most laps in this one from the pole, 40 laps led. Christopher Bell, who won stage 1, has led for 34 and is back in the lead right now. Kyle Busch led for 15 today. Austin Cindric, during the green flag pit stop sequencing there, has led 18 laps. 6 laps led under caution for Todd Gillen, 1 for Mark Truex Jr. during a caution. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. led 1 lap during a yellow as well. Both of those were on pit road. So we have had 7 different drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race today and 7 lead changes to go along with that. It'll be 8 lead changes actually once Bell gets back to the lead here. Actually, no. Looks like Stenhouse stayed out also. So Stenhouse and Bell stayed out of the pits. So that is why Ricky is out in front and is leading right now during this yellow flag. Wait to see if he pits after the fact, but I don't think that'll be the case. Kyle Busch, who won the race off of pit road, is in fifth. Took right sides only. So the top four cars all stayed out of the pits of those on the lead lap. That would be Stenhouse, Bell, Elliott, and Larson. All those cars stayed out of the pits. Our average race speed under the yellow at this point is 101.1 miles per hour, and we've gone racing for a little less than an hour and a half into this race here this afternoon. 10 laps shy of the 5 laps shy of the halfway mark in this one. Listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300. We'll take an ad break and then we'll get back to green flag racing shortly. Race has been wild in a strategic sense. Yes, it has. Reminds me of those Gen 6 races at Texas with the 550 package when there was like no tire fall off. It's kind of what it reminds me from a strategy aspect. Only difference is the stages there were more even in length. This one not the case with stages 2 and 3. Once again, Sonoma next weekend. The Craftsman Truck Series will be off, but the NASCAR Xfinity and NASCAR Cup Series will be on. We'll have live commentary streams for both of those races, as well as the 50-minute practice session for the Cup Series on Friday and the qualifying session early Saturday. So 4 live commentary streams next weekend. 3 of them centered around the Cup Series and then the lone Xfinity broadcast. Again, that will be all next weekend. It'll be the last weekend for NASCAR on Fox in 2024, at least excluding the Cup Series. So quite a few drivers were able to take the wave around behind Christopher Bell. The only cars that are still not going to be on the lead lap would be Cody Ware, Garrett Krause, Martin Truex Jr., who had to pit that extra time before the caution, and then, of course, Josh Berry, who's the only car out of the race, following the left front tire failure, which is the reason why we're under caution. Doesn't look like we've gotten the one to go signal yet. So we're getting down to the point now where we're going to have probably 21 laps to go in stage 2 when we get back to racing. Right around there, I would expect. I'd say this caution worked out huge for the Fords that were all up at the front of the field. Cindric, Keselowski, Blaney, Logano, and even Hocevar, who was on that same strategy of staying out, hoping for a caution. They got that because they weren't really driving back through the field despite running up towards the front before the end of stage 1. They were all the ones that got the most stage points outside of Christopher Bell, who won the stage. The strategy gets them from running pretty much 9th on back to now from 5th through 9th. Leapfrogged a handful of positions. If they can get a couple more in this restart on the Chevys in front of them, who haven't been as quick by way of race pace today of Busch, Larson, and Elliott, that could be huge for Cindric, Keselowski, Blaney, and Logano. Maybe get them into contention where they could keep up with Christopher Bell. Really, the only one on speed that looked like he had anything for Bell in stage 1 was Ryan Blaney. But even then, I'd say Bell looked a little bit quicker than Blaney because he was able to get by McDowell. Blaney could not before the end of that first stage. And in traffic, Bell was able to pass cars and get to the lead before the green flag pit stop started, where Blaney was still back in traffic around 9th, 10th place. So it's going to be tough to beat Christopher Bell today, but that gives them a better chance to, I believe, by the time stage 3 starts, whether they race themselves up there before the end of this stage or by way of pit strategy at the beginning of stage 3, I would like to think that Cindric, Keselowski, Blaney, Logano, they'll all be at least with Bell at the beginning of that next stage. It's going to be tough to beat him, though, here in stage 2, but we'll see. Maybe they've made some adjustments from now compared to where we were at in stage 1. Everybody has had a pit stop or 2 since then, and see if they've maybe gotten a little closer. Tire blew out, get ready for brake failures. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't really seen any yet today. These teams came prepared this weekend. We've seen quite a few in the first 2 years of the Cup Series races here at Gateway. We're still only about halfway through this race, so a lot more brake abusing still to go, especially when they push harder later into this race, the further along we get. So again, 21 laps to go in Stage 2. And we're 1 lap shy of the halfway mark. Green flag is back in the air in St. Louis. Christopher Bell outside of the front row for the restart. Chase Elliott underneath him. Side by side for the lead down into the first turn between Elliott and Bell. Elliott trying to stay with the 20. The 20 slides up the track just a little bit, trying to get that wider line through the center of the corner and more straightaway speed down the back. That allows him to clear. Bell out in front of the field into turns 3 and 4. Joey Logano looking to the inside of his teammate Ryan Blaney just outside the top 5. Chase Elliott goes a bit wide into turns 3 and 4, opens the door up for Kyle Busch to try to make a run right behind him. Austin Cindric pulls alongside Kyle Larson as they battle for 4th place, side by side into turns 1 and 2. Keselowski, Blaney, and Logano, all 3 Fords right behind those 2 cars side by side in front of them. Cindric is clear of Larson off the exit of turn 2. Larson's been struggling with this car. This is the first time he's been in the top 10 today, and it's because he stayed out of the pits. He pitted before the caution came out and was still on the lead lap, so that is why Larson is up in the top 5, and same goes for Chase Elliott. And Kyle Busch for that matter. But at least Busch was leading laps a little earlier in this race on a different strategy, which ended up correlating to being the same strategy with Elliott and Larson with that last caution. Byron Gibbs, Chastain, 3 cars battling for position, right around 18th, 19th, and 20th. Middle of the pack. Joey Logano got by Brad Keselowski that last lap. Same for Ryan Blaney. They moved to 6th and 7th. And right behind Larson, Cindric quickly catching the 8 of Kyle Busch just up in front of him. Good fire-off speed on the short run for Cindric. A lot better in getting through traffic on this restart compared to what he did on the last restart when he was pretty much stuck in 9th the entire time. Slightly fresher tires, of course, on the 8 and the 9 car as well, but that would have been the case back at the beginning of Stage 2 on the alternating strategies also. So maybe some good adjustments made to that 2 car, helping him that much more in traffic the more he's in it. Started second, but really hasn't ran in the top 3 the whole day. He will be up in the top 3 for the first time at the end of a lap if he is able to get by Kyle Busch. He was side by side all the way with him down the front straightaway and still door to door into turns 1 and 2. Larson has not been passed by the Penske Fords of Blaney and Logano yet, only Cindric. Both those 2 still hot on the heels of the 5 of Larson, and Larson closing in on the 2 and the 8 as they've been side by side for about a full lap now. Off the exit of turn 4 this time by Austin Cindric is going to be clear finally as he moves up on Kyle Busch. Blaney gets to the outside of Larson through 3 and 4, maybe the easiest way to make a pass, and he's clear before heading down into turn 1. So Blaney's now back in the top 5 to 5th. And Blaney looking to the inside of Busch quickly now for 4th place as he tries to keep up with his teammate Cindric. Cindric within a couple tenths of a second of Elliott, and Christopher Bell already a second and a half in front of the field on the restart. 16 laps to go. Stage 2 here at Gateway. Your top 5 as of right now following this most recent restart has Christopher Bell in the lead, Chase Elliott 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Kyle Busch 4th, and Ryan Blaney 5th. Listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300 for the NASCAR Cup Series. How did they get the wave around when the 4 stayed out? The 4 was the reason for the caution. The 4 definitely did not stay out. The 4 is in the garage. Josh Berry's out of the race. He might have been on the lead lap when the caution came out, but having the left front tire failure, yeah, he's out of the race. So they all got the wave around. They roll in front of Christopher Bell. Not exactly all of them, most of them. There were a couple that didn't get their lap back. Again, Kraus, Ware, and Truex And I believe Truex is 2 laps down after making the unscheduled pit stop, as he had pitted twice during that last green flag run. So Cindric got by Busch, like I mentioned, for third a few laps ago. Ryan Blaney's door-to-door with Busch now for the 4th place position on the front stretch. Blaney on the inside, Busch on the outside into turns 1 and 2. Busch really wide. Blaney is clear, shutting that door tightly on the 8. Busch with a quick little bump draft on the backstretch to get Blaney going and keep the momentum up. Cindric has not yet passed Elliott for position, but he's close. And Keselowski trying to put the fight back to Joey Logano once again for 6th after Logano passed him a few laps ago. This is as high up in the running order as Keselowski, Joey Logano has been today, just quietly moving forward from the 12th place starting position. Just outside the top 5. He's got better pacing than Kyle Busch on this run. I would like to think he should be able to get into the top 5 before the end of stage 2. Bell's extended his lead over Chase Elliott, who's still in second over Cindric by over 2 seconds. Bell far and away the fastest car on the racetrack here today. None of the other Toyotas have really been able to keep up with him. In fact, Christopher Bell's the only Toyota in the top 10, and he's leading this race. Austin Cindric door-to-door for 2nd place with Chase Elliott into turns 3 and 4. Logano on the inside of Kyle Busch for 5th as well, also through turns 3 and 4. Exit of the corner, Cindric clear for 2nd. The 2 car is up to P2. Logano was not able to clear Busch. Side drafts him on the front stretch and will try to make another attempt at the pass in turns 1 and 2. Now it looks like has fallen to 8th on the restart, who also stayed out of the pits during that last caution. And Elliott again has only faded back 1 spot to 3rd. Bell, who stayed out, is still leading. That last lap, Bell was also still about 0.08 of a second quicker than the 2nd place car, Cindric. 2.5 second lead now between the 20 and the 2 at the front of the field. Ryan Blaney within a couple tenths of Elliott. He'll look to try to pass him for 3rd. Blaney finished 3rd in stage 1. Looking for another solid finish here in stage 2. Again, 2 quick reminders that at the end of stage 2, the poll will close. So if you haven't voted yet in the chat poll for who you think will win, be sure to vote, because again, at stage 2, the end of stage 2 here in a few laps, I will close it. 47% of you still say somebody other than Blaney, Busch, or Logano will win. And maybe that will be the case. Bell has dominated so far. And then also the Fantasy League will lock up at the end of stage 2 for your starting 5. I'm actually going to go into my Fantasy League right now and make sure that my lineup will be locked. I haven't stated to you guys who's on my fantasy team yet today. I had Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch. So one of those 5 are going to have to sit on the bench the rest of the way. And Michael McDowell has fallen back quite a ways in the field. He's currently 29th. He was one of the drivers that were trapped a lap down when the caution came out, had to get the wave around. And although he scored a lot of stage points at stage 1, he doesn't look to have nearly as fast of a car as what I would have thought coming in. So I'm going to plug Kyle Busch, who was originally in my garage, into the starting 5. I'm going to have Michael McDowell in my garage unless we get a late incident from one of those 5 before the end of this stage. Make sure I do both of them on the fantasy team there. My head-to-head bonus points, I had Blaney beating Bell. Right now, Bell is the dominant driver of the day, so he is leading there. I had Logano over Busch. Logano a couple positions ahead of Busch after passing him, a couple laps ago. I had Hamlin over Truex. Truex 2 laps down after the unscheduled pit stop. And I had Ty Gibbs over Alex Bowman. Bowman 30th, Gibbs 15th. An update from the pre-race predictions and where those drivers are running at this point in the race. My must-haves are all inside the top 10 with Kyle Busch in 7th. My win pick, Ryan Blaney in 3rd and Joey Logano 5th, so 3 for 3 to this point. Sleeper picks, Carson Hocevar to get a top 10 is currently in 10th place. That was kind of my boldest prediction out of those. Austin Cindric is in 2nd, and the only non-sleeper driver of the 3 that isn't in the top 10, would be Michael McDowell back in 29th. Wrong side of the strategy in the stage, to say the least. And also, like I mentioned already, doesn't have quite as quick of a car as I would have thought he was going to have. The three don't have picks to finish outside the top 10. Alex Bowman's back in 30th, as I just mentioned. William Byron is back in back in 19th and has been running around 20th for most of the day. And Chase Elliott, the only one of those three that is in the top 10 and 4th, even after getting to the wall. He is on the right side of strategy at this point. Good call by him staying out of the pits there. He was one of the only cars that pitted and was still on the lead lap, but still in a slightly different strategy than a lot of the Fords up inside the top half dozen in this running order. So that is the update again on the pre-race predictions and where all those drivers are running at this point in the race. Even Kyle Larson has caught Kyle Busch during this run, and they're both on relatively equal tires. And although Larson hasn't shown much pace in this one, I think that just goes to show that that 8-team Richard Childress Racing and Kyle Busch have missed the setup here today. I mean, even at times on the longer run, it seems like Austin Dillon, Busch's teammate, has looked quicker than him. I mean, he actually passed him on the last tire stint they had before the green flag stops during the last green flag run earlier in stage 2. Busch has good fire-off speed, but long run definitely seems to fade quite a bit. And it gets worse the further back in traffic he goes. Yeah, slightly. I know there's not a lot of tire wear, but still slightly older tires here. And Christopher Bell is still faster than the other Fords around him. I do think the Fords, as a whole, manufacturer-wise, are the best manufacturer today. But again, Christopher Bell, the only Toyota in the top 10, is just the best car in the field. Doesn't matter how many Fords are. Oh, Larson and Busch are together and they're around. Caution is out. The Kyle and Kyle show has struck fire in turns 1 and 2. Metaphoric fire, not legitimate. The final lap of the second stage will bleed into the stage end here. Christopher Bell will win stage 2 under caution, as Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson get together battling for a stage point on the final lap of the stage.
Easy to do.
Busch did not give him a lot of room.
Good day, Martin.
Busch running 7th, Larson running 8th. Both end up in the wall and head for pit road.
There's one thing.
6th stage win of the season now for Christopher Bell as he sweeps stages 1 and 2 today at Gateway. Got a couple of stage wins at stage 2 and 3 in last week's Coke 600, on top of scoring some stage points at stage 1 and winning the race. So solid points days a couple weeks in a row here for Christopher Bell. Not really in the hunt for the regular season championship, but playoff points are still awarded to the top 10 drivers at the end of the regular season. And to think he was actually outside the top 16 of the driver points just a few weeks ago, got up to 11th, and has a chance at a max points day today if he can go to victory lane 2 weeks in a row. It'll be 2 straight weeks of 60-plus point races. And would match William Byron and Denny Hamlin with 3 wins for the most on the year if he does go to victory lane. Bell has made the championship for 2 consecutive seasons, trying to make it 3 in a row this year. So again, Christopher Bell wins stage 2. The rest of the finishing order behind him getting stage points will be Austin Cindric in 2nd, Ryan Blaney 3rd, Chase Elliott 4th, and Brad Keselowski 5th. Joey Logano 6th, and that battle between Larson and Busch was for 7th at the end of the stage. Obviously, neither one of those two going to get stage points, and both with significant damage. Has Chase Briscoe now finishing 7th instead. Carson Hocevar 8th in the stage, Austin Dillon 9th, and Denny Hamlin 10th. Oh, shoot. Busch just got in that incident. I got to get him out of my lineup. It probably locked already. That was the worst thing that could have happened for my fantasy. That was like the last lap of the stage. I didn't have a chance to switch him out. I literally just put him in. He was in my garage. I put him in for Michael McDowell, and then he wrecks like 6 laps later. How does that happen? Some may say I jinxed him. That is unbelievable that just happened. Yeah, I mean, it locked already. We're at the end of stage 2. That's a highly unfortunate turn of events. Rip to my fantasy team in the chat. That's tough. Pit stop's coming up shortly. You're listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300. Well, I said before the race started, I'd be shocked if a Penske Ford doesn't win. They're second, third, and sixth. But the way this race has gone, I think it's pretty clear to say Christopher Bell's got the fastest car in the field. I'm not going to be as shocked that they don't win now compared to what I stated in the pre-race. What a difference 142 laps makes.
On Fox, it's the Houston Roughnecks against the Memphis Showboats, 7 Eastern. On Fox and the Fox Sports app. Busch has taken his car after this.
Well, you can certainly see him on the wall from that angle, but Kevin, let's back up here down the front straightaway and see the rest of the story.
First DNF of the season for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, you see him come off a turn 2 right here, and I think that they make a little bit of contact right there. Kyle Larson trying to side draft, and I think Busch is frustrated with that. Squeezes him down the racetrack, and then Larson spins out into the 8, and they both hit the fence. So I think Kyle Busch was frustrated with Larson. You see him way down the racetrack.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he crowded him.
Well, there's 2 sides to every story, but that's certainly the one side that we saw.
Hey, you see that little contact? I think that ticked off a mile off right there, and right there. Yeah, I think he just got frustrated and
Temper's got the best of him. That's twice this last couple of weeks that's happened.
Like the 9 car, Chase Elliott, that run was getting better compared to the cars around him. And since the teams that he had, he's been pretty good day long. You see four Jeremy.
No, it's today like 60. That's really happy with it. The call was Kansas City Chiefs. Right sides only.
Oh.
But Bell's locking right now. Ski Fords did not stop. They're poised to restart 1, 2, 3. Penske has had 1 top 10 finish in the last 6 races.
Ouch.
But they have the first 3 positions.
Not counting Logano's All-Star race win, of course.
Yeah.
All right, so stage 3 about to begin here. A little less than 100 laps to go in today's Enjoy Illinois 300 at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. And Christopher Bell sweeps the stages for his 5th and 6th stage wins of the season. Second most on the year of any driver to that of only Kyle Larson. So 11 playoff points this season for Bell to 2 wins, to 6 stage wins, and he's trying to go for 5 more with an additional race win here today. Coming into this race, he's only led 215 laps this season. It's quite a bit, but I believe that puts him 7th. coming into the day on the laps led category this season. Yeah, 7th most laps led of any driver this year. Behind his teammates Hamlin, Truex, and Ty Gibbs for that matter. He's led the least amount of laps of the 4 Gibbs Toyotas this season, but he's made that up here today, I will say. So far, on top of winning the first 2 stages, Christopher Bell has also led the most laps now, 63 laps led, and now he will be back slightly in traffic. Took 2 tires and won the race off pit road, but again, the 3 Penske cars stayed out of the pits. And a few other drivers also stayed out, not just the 3 Penske's. Christopher Bell won the race out of the pits, is going to be back in 14th. The top 13 cars stayed out. I'll really get to see how fast Bell's car is. I do think it is the fastest car in the field, but only took 2 tires, and now he's back in traffic. I think that strategy call by everybody that stayed out, and especially for Penske, having all those buffer cars in between them and Bell is huge. Especially if we get a lot of green flag racing in the final stage. The more restarts we get, I think the better off Christopher Bell could be here. But everybody's still 1 stop out for fuel purposes to the end, and we haven't had hardly any tire fall off in the race. In fact, those closing green flag laps of stage 2, Bell's lap times were only about 2 to 3 tenths slower than his fastest lap of the day, which was back on lap 102. It was before that latest green flag run. That was after he had made his green flag pit stop back in the middle of stage 2 was when he ran his fastest lap. So about 3 tenths of a second to fall off over the course of about 20 laps or so. 21 lap green flag run, plus a few more before that. So probably closer to 30 lap green flag run on those tires. But yeah, interesting to see what comes out of this.
Because this race has been a strategy.
Strategy equals opportunity for guys that need to have a good run. And if you look at Chase Briscoe, Carson Hocevar, Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon, guys that need to have a good run, you see they've made the right strategy. They put themselves in a good position. And after the pit stop, in the top 8 right now. Could be another day for a top 10.
As we send it to Mike for the start of stage 3. Enjoy.
Shannon, Regan Sweet is caught up with Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, unfortunately, out of the race early today, battling for 2nd place there with Kyle Larson. Kyle, we saw a little contact off of turn 4 perhaps there, and then down the front straightaway. It looked like maybe you guys just got in and got together. What took place from your perspective?
Yeah, you got a pretty good eye, so sure it's my fault, but made it for my guys, everybody on the Rebel Camaro. We can't afford days like this, so just paid it for them and trying to race for a playoff spot, and gradually fall in there a little bit, and he got loose and back to Sal.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Regan. Let's take a look at today's Credit One Bank ones to watch. Let's start with Flint.
Oh, I'm going with Penske. The whole Penske organization. It's their day. Anybody in a Penske car, that's my pick.
What a cop out that is. I want the fastest car, the 20 car of Christopher Bell. He had the dominant car today, and he's going to beat all 3 of your cars.
Watching Stuart Haas after the news of the week. How this week? Boy, Chase Briscoe's giving it his all. All those fellows auditioning for a job. Best way to do that's with a win or a top 5 finish.
Yes, sir. Starting to worry about you, Mike. Following suit with Clint.
It's like a whole team. You could have had a whole team.
You guys can have a whole team. I don't need one.
Oh, sure, you're a Credit One Bank once to one.
Mr. Obvious over here.
Nice trick.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, who do you think is going to win?
The question is your guy going to be able to get back up to that clean air?
A lot of
he's
cars.
been able to pass a lot of cars, but he's as mired back in traffic as he's been in this race so far.
And only 2 tires.
Yeah, deepest in the field, and only 2 tires. I don't know that he's going to get all the way up there before the next cycle of pit stops, at least. I can tell you that much. See how it pans out for him. Might need a lucky caution like a lot of those Fords got back in stage 2. It could happen. Green flag back in the air. Penske Fords of Cindric and Blaney lead us to the green here in stage 3. Big block on the bottom lane. Can't tell who that was. Looked like it was the 31 of Hemrick. Taking a big block at the end of the front stretch. How about Chase Briscoe taking it 3 wide under those Penske cars? It made a slight bit of contact with Ryan Blaney in the middle of 1 and 2 that allows the 2 car of Austin Cindric the pole clear on the backstretch. 3 wide into 3 goes Bell, trying to be aggressive and getting all these positions back as quickly as he can. Gets by the 10 and the 71 in one corner, now alongside the 21 of Harrison Burton quickly. And Bell restarted back at 14. Cindric leads the first green flag lap of stage 3. Blaney was clear for second at the line and side by side for third with Logano and Briscoe. That whole pack is jumbled up with those cars on older tires, the slower ones in front of those on fresh Goodyears. A lot of lane changing on the backstretch. More 3 and now 4 wide action into turn 3. And contact with that 4 wide between Todd Gilliland and Corey LaJoie. Stacks up a few more cars in that middle and upper groove. Larson trying to get time back after his incident late in the stage, and a big block on the front straightaway by Ross Chastain on Christopher Bell. Bell gets underneath him, both underneath the 71 of Zane Smith, 3 wide again. Bell clears both the 71 and the 1. Chastain trying to get another run up off the exit of the corner as he stays door to door with Smith. 3 wide behind them some more with Bowman, Nemechek, and Gibbs. Definitely the wildest restart we've seen today. A lot of aggressive and bold moves at the end of these long straightaways. Takes so long to get that momentum back if you have to lift in an awkward point in the center of the corner when you're supposed to be back on the throttle. Penske 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field. Austin Cindric leads. Ryan Blaney second. Blaney 4/10 of a second off the lead. Joey Logano in third is 9/10 of a second back. Carson Hocevar up to 4th place is 1.3 seconds off the lead, and Chase Briscoe falls to 5th after battling 3 wide for the lead initially on the restart. As they were getting up to speed, Briscoe is 1.6 seconds back. That is the top 5 in the running order. Hamlin now battles Briscoe for that 5th place spot, and it looks like Hamlin will make the pass for 5th. And I believe that's the first time Denny has broken into the top 5 today. And still 3 wide around Gregson, Gibson, and Bowman. Actually, it might be Daniel Suarez. Yeah, Suarez in the 99 who was around him that time, and not Gregson. Different green car. Gregson's already in front of all of them, actually. Busted his way out of that. All 3 of those cars are outside the top 20, the 54-7, 48-99. Penske cars are pulling away. Hamlin and Hocevar battle for 4th. Blaney closes in on his teammate Cindric for the lead up at the front of the field. Cindric running the outer lanes, the outer groove. That outside line has really widened out quite a bit throughout the course of this race today. They haven't talked about it a whole lot of the broadcast since I've been listening to it at least, but just watching those cars work their way through 3 and 4 that last time by, I mean, over 150 laps in, but that outside groove has definitely widened out a lot more than what it was on the initial start of the race, where it was primarily a 1, maybe 2 groove racetrack. Not going all the way up near the wall necessarily, but maybe a lane and a half to 2 lanes off of it, with Chastain working his way on the outside through 3 and 4 the last time, and he's up inside the top 10 and 9th. Bell has moved up 6 positions from the restart from 14th to 8th, still 4 seconds off the leader Cindric. Another incentive for Blaney to want to get to the lead as quick as he can is knowing that 20 car is going to be coming through the field. He will be the one to beat in these final 85 laps. Hocevar and Hamlin still battle for 4th. Hamlin has to go up a half a lane, cuts to the bottom in the center of the corner. Hocevar way up to the top after sending it way deep on the bottom. Looked like Hocevar just kind of overdrove the entry a bit. Chase Briscoe behind both of them as he has lost several spots on the restart. Bell to the inside of Austin Dillon for 7th. So you heard from Kyle Busch. He's out of the race following his accident. Perry and Busch are the only 2 done. Free pass ended up going to Derek Kraus in the 16 with that caution, which bled into the stage 2 end. So we have had 5 cautions today, 4 for incident, the stage 1 yellow, the only non-incidental caution. Cody Ware still 2 laps down, Martin Truex Jr. 3 laps down as of right now. Will NASCAR on Fox crank it up?
80.
Yep, 80 laps left in this thing. The top five still remain the same with Austin Cindric in the lead, Ryan Blaney second, Joey Logano third, Carson Hocevar in fourth, and Denny Hamlin in fifth place. You're listening live on KRC to the Enjoy Illinois 300. Before we get into our next ad break, we'll get off that second and final diecast showing of the race. This guy is in second, Penske leading the way, so here is a Penske diecast, and this is actually a race win diecast from Michigan International Speedway in 2021, where I finally got to see my favorite driver, Ryan Blaney, win a race in person. Growing up, even as a Greg Biffle fan, the couple races I went to in my younger years when my grandpa would take me up to MIS, never got a chance to watch my favorite driver win. I never went in the years that Biffle won. So even though he had won there 4 times in his Cup career. But needless to say, I did get to see Ryan Blaney win up there in 2021. Definitely one of the cooler experiences I've ever had at a NASCAR track. Finally, after all those years of getting to finally see my favorite driver win, I believe it took like almost 30 races of going to NASCAR races, like almost my 30th race before I finally saw Ryan Blaney or any of my favorite drivers again, either him or Biffle growing up winning. So, and the fact it got to happen at my home track too, and well into my traveling experiences of going to many other tracks, the fact that it happened at home was pretty cool. But yeah, this is a race win diecast. If I put it up close enough to the camera, you might be able to see some of the details. Those scratch marks on the car are not from me. They are from just the overall detail in the car, maybe some of the scuffs that would have been had during the course of the race. Even the tires have like some dirt and some paint on them and stuff from the finish. He was making a little contact with Byron down the front stretch coming to the finish, and at that time, I believe was the closest finish in Michigan International Speedway history, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So pretty cool there to watch that unfold. Blaney won another close one, and luckily I was there to see it that day. And definitely a diecast that I purchased later that night, and it took me about 11 months before it got delivered back in the mail to me. So I didn't really get this until middle of the summer last year. But I made sure I got home that night. I was going to purchase it, pre-order it. And, they said it was going to take like 6 to 9 months for it to show up, and I'm like, oh well, that's maybe it'll be there by Christmas. Yeah, little did I know it was there about 6 months after Christmas. It definitely got to my place late, but still ended up getting it, and pretty cool. Definitely one of my favorite diecasts that I own for that reason. Definitely has some sentimental value to it, to say the least. One of the many Ryan Blaney diecasts I have, but one of the ones that I had at least gotten to see race in person, and exactly that race win diecast. Pretty cool. Did I miss the diecast? Well, nope, there it was right there. I just showed it to you. Again, you're listening live on KRC. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content as we continue the final stage coverage of the Enjoy Illinois 300 on KRC.
I think in today's day and age, you have to have people that are involved with the authority to do what they need to do with the people and the things inside of the company to make it run. Right? And it's tough to see. I mean, there's a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into that organization, and the organization did a lot for me personally.
Catch a new episode of Happy Hour every Tuesday and Thursday, presented by NASCAR on Fox. Currently, the Austin Cindric out in front by 7/10 of a second over Ryan Blaney. There's the leading Stewart Haas car, which is Chase Briscoe in 7th. They also have Ryan Preece in 20th, Noah Gragson 21st, and Josh Berry, first car out of the race after cutting down a left front tire. Well, welcome back, St. Louis. We've got a guest.
What's up, guys? So I walked in the door. Yeah, definitely just, I love to come to the Cup races and just stay after and learn a little bit. We ran the truck race last night and was eighth there before the green flag stopped and the caution came out and we got stuck a lap down. So still sitting sixth in points and ready to go playoff race in a couple weeks. Team 8. Yeah, I know. How about that?
Oh man, that's gonna make things more entertaining. I promise you, the debrief and meetings will be.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you and Patty.
I'm going to need some help, bud. So Raja, Clint is going to run the truck race at Nashville what kind of advice do you have for this?
I need some advice.
Well, when was the last time you ran there? I was probably like 10, so.
I don't know if that's going to cut it. It may not have been an
That was
existence yet.
like 6 years ago.
Pretty much, yeah.
Starting to heat up here with teammates. Who you got your eye on watching this? You've been up here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, similar to how the race was yesterday. Wherever you cycle out after the pit stop is where you run until the next yellow. So I'm looking at the 6, the 9 car, those guys that or the next cars that pitted at the caution. Obviously, the 20's the fastest in the field, but I'm looking at the 9 car for sure. Who's the fastest? 20 car. Oh, okay.
What's the only 2 cars in the 33-second bracket right there? Can you see
Clean
that?
air, man.
I know he can't see it. Can you see that right there? When it was on right there. So the only 2 in 30.
Never guess.
Yeah, everybody else 34s. Those are Penske cars.
Oh, wow. Look at this. The first time Christopher Bell's been passed all day, I believe, and it was by his teammate, Denny Hamlin, on the outside. Bell comes right back after him.
Bell's making that pass. He's rolling back to the front. He's slowly but surely here. He is getting bigger in the rear view, but keep going. You see Carson Hocevar, we've sold it. Mike, you've been all over it. I am very impressed with the job that Carson Hocevar in that 77 has done. It's a great run for him. 69 laps to go.
Larry Mack?
You know, every year headed into a Cup season, people will ask me, what are my expectations about a rookie? And I always say, run all the laps. Yeah, he was caught up in a wreck early at Daytona, but in the 13 races since then, he has finished on the lead lap 9 times and completed all but 8 laps of competition. That's what a rookie needs to be doing, especially in the first half of his rookie season.
Wow, absolutely. Let's not overlook our leader, Austin Cindric. Best finish of the year for Cindric, 4th at Atlanta. That is his only top 10 finish. And as we are now, and I admit it's early, we're now right in the middle of silly season. His name has come up, and he doesn't want to be part of that conversation.
Well, I ain't worried about him, but I'm worried about 18th in points if I'm him. This win right here would fix everything if that 2 car is sitting in victory lane at the end of the day.
Yeah, you can definitely take your name out of the conversations of whether you're in or out by putting yourself into victory lane.
1 top 10 for Team Penske in the last 6 races. They've been fast in qualifying. They've been fast on the racetrack. Don't have the finishes to show for it. And today is the most laps Austin Cindric has ever led in a Cup race. He's now been out front for 48 of them.
Hey, I know the 20 car's coming. You see a pass. Oh, this car's going to pit right here.
Now, Hocevar was not off sequence with everybody else.
Pit window's open, though.
We'll have to puzzle this.
Mike will have to double check this at this pitch. You know, with the now early in the race, he was extremely. They got that track position towards the front here lately. It's been good. He likes the way it's driving right now. Doing a fantastic job today.
Larry, are they inside their window to make it to the finish?
Believe so.
Definitely make it to the finish. Now, remember, he's one of the ones that stayed out on that last caution. So he was going to have to pit in about 10 laps if he was going to run the field all the way. So say it's a little early, but I won't say it's on schedule by no means.
Also gives you the benefit of, their back half of their runs and being on the front side of the goodie of your tires. That's a good move. I like that move.
I do too.
The tires at a certain point, they don't fall off. We've seen our leader who's in clean air. He's run 34.
Blaney's pitting.
34 flats as we see Ryan Blaney in.
I'd say he's going to draw them all in just because of that very fact.
Blaney pits.
That's going to force Cindric's hand. They're going to pit next time.
Regan.
As soon as Carson Hocevar hit pit road and they saw it on the TVs, the 12th crew of Ryan Blaney immediately jumped on the ball, got the ball that they were going to clip the next time by. He's been too tight this one off the turn forwards. The good thing has been loose all day long. They have made gains on the car and continue to get better already.
Comes Austin Cindric with him.
Well, I'm going to say, Clint, you were right. But I think he had to pit because of the fact that Ryan Blaney's he's still going to have a lap on him. So he very much could leapfrog it.
Those 2 cars had such a massive lead. It was down to them. As soon as Blaney pitted, he had to. Now here comes Hamlin, right? He was the next car in line. They're all coming. It's going to happen.
They are today. They have been so good. He brings it down pit road for Austin Cindric. They throw him off clips of fuel and tires. That's all.
Turn the lead over to Joey Logano. Christopher Bell just went by Logano, who is headed for pit road now. Bell stays out on the racetrack.
He's gone. That crew chief wants to see what that car will do in clean air. He can run the big lap times like he has been. That afford them the opportunity to stay out maybe a little bit.
That's his defense. Regan?
Like the 3 car of Austin Dillon. You're good early on in the race, but it's starting to go too loose for him. He's struggling to get the right rear grip the way that he wants to on the 3 car.
The Joey Logano June car has gotten a little bit better as the race has gone on so fast yesterday. On fuel, they need to make it 62 laps to the end of this race.
Chase Briscoe, all making stops under green.
Exactly what we were talking about, Kevin. Look at this 12 car. Blaney, he passed Cindric.
Yeah, and I think he caught the 2 bunch off guard. I think pitting that lap early did what they needed to do to get him the track position around Austin Cindric. But that's our leader right there, Christopher Bell. He has not pitted yet.
That's right. A lot of gains and losses. We talked about the pit road entry and exit at this racetrack being unique. You have to hit all your marks there. There's a lot of time, a lot of ground to be made up on those entry and exits to this pit road.
Here's some audio from Ryan Blaney. Finger with a spotter for Blaney.
Yeah, they were actually trying to get him the 5th lap before, it sounds like, and they were already past pit road. But that was that call as late as possible so that everybody couldn't follow him. But that 1 lap, he was able to leapfrog, and their lap times right now, Ryan Blaney's lap times, let's see, 33.60 plan. So he's making up 0.4 of a second, half a second lap compared to the leader.
The only drivers left in the top 20 right now will be in need of a pit stop are Daniel Hemrick and Corey LaJoy. Everybody else can go a ways. They last on pit road at lap 144. Harrison Burton in. We currently have 22 lead lap, Cindric being the last of those, and Blaney just off the bottom of your scoreboard. Corey LaJoy was last on pit road at lap 114. Same for Daniel Hemrick. Almost 70 laps ago. Nemechek 18th among that big group of cars that pitted under caution at the end of stage 2, including most of those in the top. Not sure how long Christopher Bell and the rest of these drivers that stopped at the stage break, they've been out for 40 laps. How long until they pit? We're going to take you back side by side, so if they pit, you won't miss it.
All right, Christopher Bell out in front of the field. Brad Keselowski is currently second as we are somewhat in the middle of green flag pit stops, or at least alternating pit strategies, with the fuel window open to make it to the end of the race. We'll go through the full field running order then right now, with that being the case. Again, Bell is in the lead, Brad Keselowski second, Tyler Reddick third, Ross Chastain fourth, Justin Haley fifth, Chase Elliott sixth, Daniel Hemrick seventh, Chris Buescher eighth, Kyle Larson ninth, Ty Gibbs is 10th. 11th for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ty Gillen 12th, Bubba Wallace 13th, Alex Bowman 14th, and Daniel Suarez 15th. 16th for Michael McDowell, Eric Jones 17th, John Hunter Nemechek 18th, Derek Kraus 19th, and Corey LaJoy 20th. 21st is Ryan Blaney, and Austin Cindric 22nd are the last cars on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin already pitted already. He's a lap down in 23rd. Joey Logano has pitted from 24th. 25th for Carson Hocevar has also hit pit road on this final run. Austin Dillon is in 26th, William Byron 27th, Chase Briscoe 28th, Zane Smith 29th, Noah Gragson 30th, Ryan Preece 31st, Harrison Burton 32nd, 33rd is Cody Ware, Martin Truex Jr. 2 laps down in 34th, 2 cars out of the race, Kyle Busch finishing 35th, and Josh Berry 36th with their incidences. 60 lap Truck Series race yesterday. And in this 240 lap Cup race today, we have also had 5 cautions, 4 of them, though, for incident. One more incidental caution so far today, what we had in the entire truck race yesterday. Still under green. We haven't had a caution in the final stage to this point. 54 laps to go and counting down as Christopher Bell leads this race. Bell has led the most laps so far, 73 laps led. He won the first 2 stages. Ryan Blaney, who has taken the lead, at least of those that have already pitted, presumably, if we don't get a caution, have to cycle all the way through these green flag stops. It looks like Ryan Blaney would end up being the new leader. And he has not led yet in this race after finishing third in stages 1 and stage 2. Qualified third. He'd been up towards the front most of the day. Looks to be on the right side of strategy. Again, if it stays green to the end, still a long ways to go at least to answer that question.
Brad Penske. One more pit stop in the offing, and of course, if they stop, the less time they'll be stopped, the less fuel they'll need to get to the finish.
Well, it's going to be interesting as it all shakes out here towards the end of the race to see what the distance is going to be when he hits pit road.
Looking at Bell on the racetrack, the only other cars in the same straightway as him are Cedric and Blaney, who have made their pit stops and right now are as fast as Christopher Bell. Once he catches that next big group of cars, would that be the time you'd want to pit?
Well, what's going to happen is Blaney and Cindric are going to catch the cars that are in front of them, and that's going to slow their progress down. And I think Christopher Bell will make up that distance on the racetrack when they catch those cars in front of them.
Larry?
Yeah, when you've got a lead like he has, that gives Adam Stevens, his crew chief, it gives him a bigger playbook right now. So I think without the left he's running right now, he's really not giving up a whole lot. And the further he goes, if a caution comes out, that's going to force.
Let's see a 2-tire stop.
They're going to have more laps in their tires. They don't either be
Stays green.
or they're stay out on lower tires. So
Well,
the fact that they're running it long.
he went right side's only last time, so maybe he won't go 2.
The gambles are on. Look how high he is, Kevin.
Yeah, they definitely push that group up probably a whole nother lane since the race has started, and it just enables you to make the arc of that corner a little bit bigger, be able to roll that center speed, but most importantly, make the straightaway speed as good as possible.
Now he's going to have to deal with Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's made his stop, is faster than Bell, and he is catching him. But if Hamlin passes Bell, that would just be to get back on the lead lap. It would not be for position. Hamlin's in 21st.
Yeah, that's where those cars are. Blaney is 19th, Cindric is 20th, and Hamlin is 21st. Joey Logano 22nd. So, those are the guys that have kind of played their cards already to see how this is all going to cycle out at the end.
William Byron right in the middle of a huge group of cars, one lap down. He is in 25th. It is getting ready in the number 20 pit. And the signboard is out for Christopher Bell.
Yeah, but here he comes.
He's coming. Here he is. Down to the access. No mistakes. Do not speed.
Ross Chastain in and out after taking just right side tires. And here comes Bell. We'll make this stop with 46 laps to go. Jamie?
His pit crew won the two-front challenge just a couple of weeks ago. They're on the wall and ready as their driver makes the long trek down pit road. Remember, they told him he didn't have to wait on fuel here. Just one pan. Christopher, like he's been saying all day, the car is good. No super adjustments. And
Trying to get the 45 car, been battling the handle and back and forth a little bit all day long. Right now, he needs to be cleared when it builds too loose on entry and exit.
Those Toyotas in the way. Take a look at pit road. Note how it's 3 feet wider than it was last year. They took out the steel guardrail. on the inside of that wall, added safer barrier to the outside of it. It sure makes getting in and out of the pits easier. Brad Keselowski takes over the lead, 7 seconds up on Justin Haley, who continues to impress.
So there you see it. There the 20 car goes by. Brett Keselowski still in the lead in the cycle, but you saw the first car you saw was Blaney, that 12 car. Now he's got to go run them guys down. I'm talking about Christopher Bell. But the caution comes up. This guy right here is in the catbird seat.
And he's in the catbird seat. As you get from this perspective, they actually Bell was on pit road. Bradley said, no, I want to stay out longer. Out no, they said about 20 laps.
I like that. You're not going to outrun them. So let's see, try to keep Luck a chance to operate here. I like this. And that's it. That's a driver and an owner.
Corey LaJoy, Justin Haley on pit road, and Ricky Stenhouse making.
The owner's out costing the owner some money right there.
A little bit loose on the entry there, but I like the aggression. Brad's always very in tune with what's going on, and I think that's important from a driver's standpoint to understand what the strategy could be, where you're playing, so that you can help think that out, because you know your car and how it's driving, and whether you need to come in and sooner or later to make your car have a chance to win.
And that's years of experience behind the wheel and as an owner standpoint. I couldn't do that. When I was a driver, I was a one-track mind. You tell me when I pit, and I'll tell you if this thing needs to be tightened up or loosened up, but I can't tell you strategy too. I can't do my job and your job, but that one can.
Well, and he's got a win in the bank, so he's playing with house money. But also, I think it's a Midwestern thing. Brad Keselowski, Rusty Wallace, Alan Kowicki, they all called a lot of their own shots from the seat of the race car, and quite successfully.
And Matt McCall's plenty capable. Don't get me wrong. I was not showing disrespect there. Matt McCall's plenty capable of getting the job done, but that just speaks volume of the knowledge and the years of wisdom behind Brad Keselowski. And I think that even further, got further down the road as he become an owner. Raja, can you tell him when we need to pit? Or
Well, here's the thing, right? 11 trucks started our pit cycle yesterday, and to be on the front side of it, I feel like you can't be stuck in the middle of being either the first guy or the last guy to start the cycle. So you saw various different ways that went about it yesterday. My teammate Chase Purdy, they ran along, and felt good for them. So you really, as a driver, want to be on offense to be either the very first or two in the cycle, or be hoping for a caution, because you don't want to be stuck a lot down like I got stuck yesterday.
I always wanted to be on offense. I wanted 4 tires all the time, and sometimes that was a detriment.
Definitely.
Well, Keselowski's teammate Chris Buescher just made his pit stop. Was running down in the 16 to 20 position range.
let's go back to the cars that did pit, right? There's still a lot of cars out here that haven't pitted, but he's running and hiding, trying to run from the 20 car. The 20 car is definitely catching those guys. Now the 20's a track.
Yeah, because Bell passed Hamlin. He cycled out of the pits behind him, but he passed him a couple laps ago.
To get through this traffic very good. The 20 cars getting bigger.
The first cars in your scoreboard. So we'll need a stop before we're done. Blaney and Sin and Bell are the first 3 that can go the distance from here.
So that was a good point you made there about no mistakes. The green flag stops here are so interesting because the road speed line isn't all the way to the front stretch, and you come in on the back stretch, so you have a pretty dirty road there to get to the line, and it's interesting as a driver how much faster or slower you can get to the line. So it's so important, like you said, to not speed, because the juice isn't worth the squeeze to come back down.
Todd Gilliam's coming in. He's going to give up a top 5 spot to do so.
But if this call pays off here, it'd be huge. These guys have been on fire. Things have been rolling their way lately. Just might happen.
Brad, just like you touched on earlier, I mean, he's just so in tune with every element of that race team, and the effect that he has had on RFK has been, I don't even know how you can measure it, because of his experience and leadership and just his ability to drive the car and relate to what they need to do to fix it. I mean, it has made them a contender week in and week out. Now, I think this is definitely a pretty big gamble
but it could play out if the caution comes out.
There you go, Kevin, Clint, Mike. Matt McCall, his crew chief, just told him, give me 10 or 12 more and get all you can get.
Wow.
As high as I've ever seen the groove pushed up through the middle of 1 and 2 here.
Now, Kyle Reddick is trying to get back on the lead lap here, and he do so on much fresher tires. He came in 10 laps ago. Christopher Bell was 6 seconds behind Blaney when he came in. And when Bell got back on track, he was 7 seconds behind Blaney. And has gained 3.5 of those back. So Bell is in the move, but he's in 12th place, and he's 27 seconds off the lead.
That's the point I was trying to make earlier. He's got to go. Blaney's trying to run and hide. He was mired in traffic, did pretty good getting through them, but now Bell's in the middle of all that mess.
You got to try to take advantage of that if you're Ryan Blaney. You got these cars in front of you, have to pit.
35 laps to go in this one. Brad Keselowski leads by 9.7 seconds over Chase Elliott. Kyle Larson 10.7 seconds off the lead in third. Ty Gibbs is 12.4 seconds off the lead in fourth, and Bubba Wallace in fifth, 23.1 seconds off the lead. All those top 5 cars still have to hit pit road. Ryan Blaney is the first of those that have already made their final stop of the day. Blaney is in 6th. He's 24.6 seconds off the race lead. Michael McDowell is in the 7th place position. He still has to pit one more time. Austin Cindric has already made his final stop. He's in 8th. Alex Bowman in 9th and Eric Jones 10th have also still have to make their final stop. And now Bell has made his way by Bowman and Jones that last lap. So now Bell is up to 9th, Bowman 10th. So Bell, we know, has already made his final stop. He's trying to run down Cindric and Blaney. And he was about 4 to 4.5 seconds behind him about a dozen laps ago. I think I last checked with 46 to go. He was 4 to 4.5 seconds behind the 12 and the 2, and now he's only about 2 to 2.5 seconds back. So Bell is closing. Slightly fresher tires for him versus the 12 and the 2, and he has probably the quickest car in the field undoubtedly in this race as well. Definitely making it interesting to see if he can run him down. Again, Brad Keselowski leading laps right now, 14 laps led. Again, those top 5 cars still have to pit. Ryan Blaney is looking to be the leader once everything cycles through. Bell would have to get by Cindric and Blaney to get back to the lead. And he is closing in on Cindric. Michael McDowell on even older tires right in front of Bell. Bell dives to the inside of McDowell through turns 1 and 2, and he's all over the back bumper of Austin Cindric. Bell's got a lot of speed in that Toyota Camry as he keeps chugging along. Chase Elliott's down on pit road for his final stop. Bell on the inside of Cindric now, side by side for position on the front straightaway. It's door to door for that eventual second place position. Currently a battle for 6th. Through turns 1 and 2, Bell will be clear on the inside lane up off the exit of the corner, and now Bell is all of a sudden within 1.3 seconds of Ryan Blaney for the eventual race lead. Blaney trying to get by Bubba Wallace on older tires just in front of him. Here comes Christopher Bell. Keselowski is coming into pit, so Keselowski will surrender the lead. Make sure that he does not speed this time by. Blaney gets by Bubba Wallace. Bell now has to do the same. Well, Blaney trying to get by Wallace. Into turns 3 and 4. They're side by side. Definitely slow Blaney up just a little bit, running door to door down the backstretch with the 23 car. He tried to make the pass through 1 and 2, but he couldn't complete it there. He does on this end of the track. 29 laps to go. Kyle Larson is now the new leader, and I believe this is the first time he has led today. Larson still has to pit. Yep, it is the first lap led. Blaney has not led in this race. Even to this point, with less than 30 to go, Bell gets by Wallace quickly. The first corner, he had a shot to make the pass on him through 1 and 2. Bell just making much more quicker work of these slower cars in front of him, and now he's got one more guy to catch. He's got slightly fresher tires. Bell split the run exactly in half, where Blaney pitted as soon as the fuel window was open. Although we haven't seen much difference in the actual tire wear in this race today, I think it's more just the car and the driver more so than it is the strategy that may dictate the winner here between the 12 and the 20, because the 12 was on the right side of the strategy. The 20 is just faster. Whether he's got the tire advantage or not, the tire advantage really is only about 10 to 15 laps, and we've only seen a couple tenths of fall off over a full run. Blaney on the outside of the track, Bell to the bottom through 3 and 4. Slides up, not clear. Blaney almost gets up against the wall off turn 4, and Blaney holds clear for at least another lap. 26 to go.
Well, this is what we've talked about all day. It's hard to finish that pass on the exit of the corner and roll the speed into the throttle like you need to, because you need the whole racetrack to finish that pass. So Ryan Blaney, he knows what this is for, and this is for most likely the race win.
He's trying to find that grip on the outside, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold it.
There's the tie dip spot.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what you're talking about. I see it. Still holding strong through 3 and 4. He's not able to run on the bottom there and take the air off of him and start that game, the aero block, if you will.
Well, that
Basically a teammate of Burton.
yeah. Well, now, let's see if Harrison Burton can manage Christopher Bell the way Bubba Wallace tried to manage the blue oval of Ryan Blaney getting by him. Nope.
He definitely took his bottom line away, but no, he didn't slow down much. That 20 car so fast with the suit of the corner. If Blaney's able to hold him off, this will be a miracle.
Well, you see Blaney right up at the top. The only thing that worries me is about kind of jumping that cushion and getting over that rubbered up groove. As long as he does it right here and is able to make that momentum and stay in the groove and keep that momentum up off the corner, it's going to be a tough pass for Bell. But I feel like this is the end that's a little more difficult for Blaney. 3 and 4.
Totally agree with you. You see how that widened out Blaney way up on the outside. You also see some lappers coming. See those 2 cars in front of him. That's Bell's opportunity. Time these lappers well. If you time and pounce on him, he'll get aero tight behind him.
And Kyle Larson comes to pit road. So this now is officially the battle for the lead.
This is always so nerve-wracking if you're the leader trying to hold somebody off, especially at a deficit. But for 24 laps, my gosh, Kevin, that's a long time.
Well, right now those lap cars are working to Ryan Blaney's benefit because they're in the bottom.
So far, so good, but he's only a few laps into the battle.
Racetrack.
Reese keeps right down on the bottom of the racetrack.
But every lap that clicks away, Clint, is an opportunity that's gone by.
He's already moved left in. Now I see he stayed on the outside. Blaney's not going to be as good on the bottom. Do not let that 20 car to your outside. Did a good job there. Now Bell's getting door to door with Freese. That'll help a little.
That's interesting because Reese waved Blaney by to the inside, put a hand out the window to get that bottom lane. But
I don't know if you saw the emblem on the hood of both of those cars. Maybe that had something to do with it.
he did.
Blaney's done a good job to this point.
It shows you how difficult it is to pass. I mean, he drove right to his rear bumper. These lap cars, though, this is the opportunity. A lot of racing left to take. That's to goes in the inside.
He can hold that side draft right there and slow him down, but there's just so much momentum off of that top lane.
He's closer to him now, though, than what he was before. Oh, man. He might get him this time. Blaney's got to go to the bottom, I think.
You're flirting with disaster, Kevin. You talked about it. You jumped that cushion. Look at the right side. In the gray. Uh-oh, he might be clear. It got too high. Got too high.
Oh.
Yes, I hear you. So far, so good. Boy, that was close.
That's Reeves. Christopher Bell's spotter couldn't clear him up in front of Blaney.
and comes right back on the top side. What a battle.
Done a good job of being patient, right? And being courteous so far. But how many more laps does he have, Kevin, before it's time to get, what do you call it? Dirty.
Not yet. I don't think he's going to have to.
He's jumped cushion again. It's going to happen down here in 3 and 4. He might be clear here. Yep. Crossover move.
Here he comes.
Not done yet. Now the 12 car is going to have to get dirty. Going to push him up. You're going to be at a deficit.
Left car ahead. It's a Chevrolet.
Oh, wow, he got him back.
Now
Here comes Bell.
See crossing over. Look at the tan 50.
And Bell can get alongside and try to use Suarez as a pick.
Wow, Blaney stayed in front of him.
Ryan for
Oh.
blocked him off, took the air off of him. That thing's going to shoot up the track. Fantastic racing out of these leaders.
That's that cat and mouse game that we talked about. He was not expecting Ryan Blaney to go to the bottom of the racetrack. And
Wow, he lost so much ground there.
Oh my gosh, guys. I haven't even looked up.
Here's Christopher Bell's radio.
I'm blowing up.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Bell's blowing up.
One of the greatest battles of this season. And Chris Stapula.
Wow.
Finishing.
Could that be an over rev on a downshift? There could be a lot of things with it being shifting this
They are putting these engines through just a brutal usage today with double downshifting on both ends, but for sure 1 and 2.
guys. I was trying to for this because as I'm watching that, I'm looking over. Oh, this. Austin McDowell's running fourth.
Well,
Where did he come from?
I don't even know what to say because I don't know.
Remember, he went
Still got a pit.
or does he, Larry? Remember, he stopped on that caution twice the second time to top off just before we went back to green. Jamie?
20 radio listening to Adam Stevens talking about asking what lights to come on. He said, we're just going to have to shift laps here.
I'm going to start here.
That was a great battle before that, though.
It's fallen off a second to Blaney's. Austin Cindric to second. Bell considered Michael McDowell in fourth ahead of Denny Hamlin. Larry?
Yeah, back to Michael McDowell. They came in and topped off Mike, but that would be 93 laps.
No way.
124 years of doing this, never say never, but that is a stretch to have to go 93 laps.
Thanks, Larry.
Right. Here he comes.
Asked and answered.
Right on cue.
So giving up.
Boy, he stretched it.
To go here in St. Louis, in case you missed it. Truex Jr. with tire issues in the rear there. The first car. His career wins stages 1 and 2. 140. Larson continued. Busch went to the garage after this. Team Penske stayed out at the end of stage 2. And they are now running first, second, and 7th with 13 laps to go. McDowell back on track. And he'll be the second car a lap down behind Bubba Wallace.
Shows you how fast and far ahead these leaders were. Bell's still running third down the cylinders. I mean, way off the pace on the straightaways and still holding strong in third. This car might make it to the end and get a top 5 out of this. It'd be huge.
I don't know about top 5 and top 10. Still 12 to go, and he's only a few seconds ahead of 6th.
Looking for a neat win here. Started outside pole, running second, 2.7. Has had just one top 10 finish this year. Would love to get a win. So, Larry, what are the trends?
Clint, I will give it to you now. Now, we've only raced twice here, 2022 and 23 with the Cup Series. The average of the last caution in both races, it 237 with 3 to go in 22 and 23, and in both races, obviously had an overtime finish.
I think we might ask Team Orchard, watch Truex push the 20 down the backstretch. Truex is out of this thing. He is 3 laps down. He's going to help that teammate. That car's going to finish this race.
No way.
Thank you, buddy. Stay right there. He's going to let him go. He's going to pick him back up.
That's great.
How much faster this car is. It's picked up. It was running 39.50 or 35.50. Excuse me, 35.49. Let's see if it runs. 34.91. Pick him up 6/10. All right, Larry, I'm going to ask you.
That's unbelievable. Martin Truex Jr., who is multiple laps down after having to make an unscheduled stop at stage 2 for a flat tire. Truex, again, is 3 laps down, so he's well out of contention for anything. He's actually not even battling anybody on the same lap as him right now in that 34th place position. So now he's just bump drafted Christopher Bell down with straightaways to keep him at speed and hopefully still get a good finish out of this. Christopher Bell has only dropped to 4th. He's down a cylinder or so after battling Ryan Blaney heavily for several laps there from about 27 to go to about 18 to go before the engine started to take a dump on him. And now Bell has fallen to 4th after initially being with Blaney. He's 8.5 seconds behind the 12th car as we stand. Brad Keselowski is closing in on the 19 and the 20, so lap times have quickened compared to what Bell was running before, but obviously the engine's still at a detriment here, but he's better off with the 19 car pushing him down the straightaways. I think he can get a top 10 finish out of this still, and remember, it's still a solid points day because Bell had won the first 2 stages of the race. Luckily, he already has a couple wins this year. He just won last week in the 600, also had a win at Phoenix, so he's locked into the playoffs. Just looking for as many points as he can get at this juncture of the race. Blaney's still having to fight through some pretty heavy lap traffic. He's only about 2.2 seconds ahead of his teammate Austin Cindric. 7 laps to go this time by. Ryan Blaney is your race leader. Austin Cindric is second. Denny Hamlin third. Brad Keselowski fourth. And Christopher Bell is fifth. Tyler Reddick 6th place. Joey Logano 7th. Austin Dillon 8th. Carson Hocevar 9th. And Justin Haley quietly in 10th. Ross Chastain 11th, Kyle Larson 12th, Chase Elliott 13th, Ty Gibbs 14th, and William Byron is 15th. 16th for Chris Buescher, 17th for Chase Briscoe, Todd Gillen 18th, Daniel Hemrick 19th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 20th. 21st for Zane Smith, Bubba Wallace 22nd, Noah Gragson 23rd, Daniel Suarez the last car in the lead lap at 24th. 25th place first car lap down is Michael McDowell, who was the last to hit pit road during the green flag pit stop cycling. Eric Jones is 26th, 27th for John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Preece 28th, Alex Bowman 29th, and Harrison Burton 30th. Eric Kraus 31st, Corey LaJoie 32nd, Cody Ware 33rd, Martin Truex Jr. 34th, Kyle Busch is 35th out of the race, Josh Berry out 36th, had a left front tire failure. Current race leader Ryan Blaney has led 16 laps and counting at this point. 5 laps to go this time by. His teammate Austin Cindric has cut the lead down to 1.9 seconds as Blaney's still mired in relatively heavy lap traffic. Lap traffic definitely not doing Blaney any favors. He's having to run the inside to pass these cars on the top of him, while Cindric, for now at least, is still able to run that middle upper groove and gain lap time on Blaney. No lap cars between the top 2 at the moment. Blaney on the bottom of Suarez again through turns 3 and 4. And Gragson, the next lap car ahead of the 99, also on the top of the track. Blaney side by side with Suarez. Suarez holds clear again. 4 to go at the line, and now the lead is only a second and a half. Cindric was 3/10 quicker than Ryan Blaney that last lap, with Blaney stuck either side by side or directly behind Suarez for all of that last lap. Denny Hamlin, who's in third, is more than 5 seconds off the lead, so the race for the win, if it stays green these final 4 laps, is between the 12 and the 2 at Penske Racing. Cindric trying to look for his second career win. He has not won since the 2022 Daytona 500. Both looking for their first win of the season to lock themselves into the playoffs. Christopher Bell, meanwhile, with his engine dropping a cylinder in the late going, has fallen to 7th, battling Dillon for that spot. One of the best runs of the year for Austin Dillon so far this season. A lot of drivers having their best runs of the year, really. The host of our night, Justin Haley, looking for his second top 10 in the last 3 races. He had a top 10 in Darlington as well. Good runs for those young guns. Dylan clear of Bell for 7th. Host of our a couple seconds behind Christopher. 2 laps to go. Lead is still 1.2 seconds for Blaney over Cindric. And there is 1 lap car between the top 2 of Daniel Suarez. Oh, Blaney! Is he slow? Or is he just letting the 99 by him? Blaney 0.6 of a second back. Coming to the white flag this time by Ryan Blaney. Slow! Here comes Cindric! Oh no! Blaney's engine is expired! On the last lap of the race, Austin Cindric has taken the lead. Blaney's engine has detonated. He's slow in turn. Cindric's going to make it to the end, and the 2 guys battling for the win about 20 laps ago, both of their engines expire, and Austin Cindric's going to steal one here at Gateway. From the front row to victory lane, Austin Cindric gets his 2nd career NASCAR Cup win, his 1st in a season and a half, and Ryan Blaney limps home to finish in 7th place. No, not even, outside of the top 10. Where did he finish? Blaney ended up 20th. From 1st to 20th on the last lap, he's still trying to limp his way home. I don't even think he's going to end up 20th. He's on the front stretch just now, making his way to the start-finish line. Did he run out of fuel or did his engine expire is the question. Remember, he pitted right at the edge of that pit window.
Oh, he's going to end up 24th.
Wow.
Stops at how far ahead he came out of Austin Cindric.
I don't know if they took it all.
I think he ran out of gas.
Dang, pitted early, race team. The 25-year-old from Mooresville, North Carolina, gets his win in his 85 race winless streak.
Oh.
So the next driver to go to victory lane this season finished 4th in Atlanta. 143rd career win for Dean Penske in the NASCAR Cup Series. With among 10 different drivers. Three here in career win, Jamie.
What a turn of events for Austin Cindric. Austin, you have to have yourself in position to capitalize on moments like that. That's exactly what you and this team did. What is going through your mind right now to end this winless streak and get back to victory lane?
Yeah, honestly, I'm heartbroken for the 12 team. I don't know what happened to them at the end of the race, but they deserve to win this race. So Ryan's been a hell of a leader on this team, and you know, this weekend was a great weekend for everybody involved. But yeah, to have 2 cars in the fight, you know, an eventual 1-2 there, and like I said, heartbroken for those guys. But this is huge for me. This is huge for this team. I'm so glad I was able to get a win with Ryan as my crew chief in the Cup Series. You know, you never know when it's going to happen again, and just drive my butt off and hope for the best.
Austin, I know you live racing. This is all you do. You work harder than most drivers I've ever seen. It's been a struggle for you, for this team, especially this year. What does a win like this do for your team, you personally, and Team Penske?
It's everything. It's absolutely everything. And the funniest thing about it is that this Freightliner 4 Mustang is probably one of the best looking cars on the racetrack. And I have had terrible races every single time with this car, and it's great to win with a great paint scheme. Great to win in front of an amazing crowd. This racetrack does an amazing job putting on events, and just proud to be able to do it. Proud to bring it home for these guys. They deserve it.
Cindric win St. Louis.
Ryan Hogan comes home in 24th place after coasting across the line. Ryan, appeared you had everything just like you wanted at the end of the race. Was there any thought that maybe you were going to get low on fuel there?
No, I didn't think so. So yeah, never thought my mind was short, but
Well, those things, yeah. Gosh, I mean, proud of the 12 boys. Menards Richmond Ford was passed, and had my work cut out for me holding up Christopher, and that was fun. Man, I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, just one lap short, which man just stinks. But congrats to the two team. They did a good job all day. So props to them, Austin. Proper team Penske and Ford. Really happy with our showing today. Just know what I got to do to get some luck on our side. But gosh, wrecked the last 2 points races and thought we had a great shot to win today, and ended up bad. So appreciate the effort. Just got to keep sticking with it. Thanks, Ryan.
Well spoken, like a champion. He's better man than I am. I wanted to cry. For him. Oh, what a heart. Well, the other heartbreak driver in this race is Jamie.
Christopher Bell brings it home 7th. And Christopher, we've been talking on broadcast about the strength of this car, how fast it was. That battle for the win there. What exactly happened? What did you feel?
I mean, I have no idea what happened. Some sort of motor issue, and I'm surprised that it made it to the end. So glad that we were able to salvage something out of it. But you don't get race cars like that very often, and whenever you do, you need to take advantage of them. So that's disappointing day.
How about your teammate, Martin Truex Jr., coming to the rescue, trying to help you to finish this race?
Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I think he's probably saved us top 10 out of the day. So Martin's a stand-up guy.
What a surprise ending. Christopher Bell's car goes south. Ryan Blaney runs out of fuel. Austin Cindric wins in St. Louis. Well, they'll break it all down in the Charlotte studio right after this.
No, I'm not gonna lie, this one hurts. As a Ryan Blaney fan, this one stinks. Oh man, you want to talk about a punch to the taint? I mean that freaking that blows. Aftermath of it, though, congratulations to Austin Cindric. He gets the win, a 3.8-second margin of victory over Denny Hamlin, who actually ends up finishing second. 106.53 mile per hour average race speed today, a 2 hour, 48 minute, and 3 second race. Final stage went caution free in this one. And Ryan Blaney runs out of gas here at the end. Now, Carson Hocevar, he made it on fuel, finished 8th. And he pitted a lap before Blaney, and Blaney ran out. Cindric only pitted 1 lap after the 12. Had enough to make it that extra last lap, and was able to do a burnout even after the checkered flag had flown the following lap on the pace lap, too. The only thing there is, maybe he was saving throughout the course of the run, knowing that he was at least a few seconds for most of that run behind the 20 and the 12 when they were battling it out for the lead. Unbelievable. A wild turn of events there coming to the white flag. Ryan Blaney runs out of gas. I called it as in blowing an engine, and that's because Bell had an engine issue just 15 or so laps before that. Ended up obviously being a gas issue there at the finish, and he ends up finishing in the 24th position, last car on the lead lap. Is where Ryan Blaney's going to end up after leading off of turn 4 coming to get the white. Full results here for this race. Again, Austin Cindric is your race winner. He is now locked into the playoffs. Came into the day 19th in points, but now he is at least guaranteed a top 16 points finish. This hurts Blaney in the points big time. He had a lot of stage points today, but again, a win would have locked him in. Instead, ends up losing over 20 points, over 25 points from where he would have had also in the driver's standings if he would have won this thing versus where he finished. And a lot of guys around him in the point standings, like Logano, like Chris Buescher, they end up beating him today. Brad Keselowski. Logano and Keselowski both get top 5 versus Blaney's 24th, so that definitely hurts him in the point standings quite a bit too. But Austin Cindric, who would have thought he'd be the first driver for Penske to get a win this season? Middle of the year, nonetheless. Ford, after not winning very much, not at all, really, the first 11 races of the season, they went winless. They win race 12. They win an exhibition race, and then they win race number 14 as well here today at Gateway with Austin Cindric. So they're starting to catch fire and get back into their winning ways here in the middle portion of the season. So I mentioned that Cindric wins again. Hamlin's second. Brad Keselowski finishes third. Tyler Reddick ends up fourth. Joey Logano fifth. Austin Dillon with his best run of the year in sixth. Christopher Bell limps home in seventh. Carson Hocevar's career best finish in eighth. Justin Haley ninth, his second top 10 in the last 3 races. And Kyle Larson quietly gets a 10th place finish today after having a not so Kyle Larson like that. And even after coming back from that spin with Kyle Busch, great comeback there in the final stage. We didn't get a caution the rest of the race after that incident between him and Busch. Ty Gibbs finishes 11th, Ross Chastain 12th, Chase Elliott 13th, Chris Buescher 14th, William Byron 15th, Todd Gilliland 16th, 17th place finish for Chase Briscoe, Daniel Hemrick 18th, Zane Smith 19th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 20th. Bubba Wallace 21st, Noah Gragson 22nd, 23rd for Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney 24th after leading coming to the white, ran out of gas. Coming to the final lap of the race. Michael McDowell finishes first car lap down after starting on the pole, ends up 25th. He did finish second in stage 1, so got some stage points to salvage a little bit of that day. Eric Jones ends up 26th, Jonathan Nemechek 27th, Alex Bowman 28th, Ryan Preece 29th, Derek Kraus 30th. Harrison Burton 31st, Corey LaJoie 32nd, 33rd for Cody Ware, Martin Truex Jr. 3 laps down, 34th, had the unscheduled stop middle of stage 2 with the flat tire. 2 DNFs today, Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, with Busch finishing 35th, Berry 36th. Busch's crash on the final lap of stage 2 with Larson DNF'd him from the race. Just the second DNF, first DNF of the year for Busch, excuse me. And Josh Berry, after back-to-back top 10s, finishes last this week, had a left front tire failure early in stage 2. Most laps led today, going to go to the fastest car in the field, Christopher Bell, at least by me and what most people probably thought there. That was going to be the one to beat going into the final stage. Bell ends up battling for the win with Blaney, the eventual race win, and with about 18 to go, drops his cylinder, still finishes in 7th. He won the first 2 stages, he led the most times, and he led the most laps with 80 laps led. Your race winner, Austin Cindric, actually went on to lead 53 laps today after starting second. And other drivers to lead a lap would include Ryan Blaney, again down the stretch, led 20 laps. 40 laps led from the pole for Michael McDowell, 15 at the early going to stage 2 for Kyle Busch. 17 laps led during green flag pit stops in the final stage for Brad Keselowski. Joey Logano led a lap during pit stops. Kyle Larson led 7 laps during green flag stops in the final stage. Todd Gilliland led 6 under caution back in stage 2, at the beginning of stage 2 before we went green. And Martin Truex Jr. led for 1 lap during pit stops as well here today. So in total, we ended up seeing 10 different drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race, and we ended up having 16 lead changes in total with the 5 cautions, 4 per incident. Again, 1 in the final stage, 1 in stage 2, which was on the final lap of the second stage, and then the stage 1 yellow at lap 45, and those 2 incidences early in the race at lap 3 and lap 16. Again, average race speed 106.53 miles per hour. I paused it to get some interviews from some of the other top finishers here. Regan Smith was standing with Denny Hamlin moments ago. Hamlin finishes second.
Seemed like a decent day for you, just not quite that raw speed to get up there and battle for the lead.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, just 5 cars. Just I didn't have the best today, but we were, the high Yahoo Camry was in the mix, and obviously was able to capitalize when a couple of us had some issues. So we're going to have a top 5 day regardless, but proud of the team. Great job in pit road, and Chris and the whole team rode a good car. Just not quite good enough.
All right, thanks, Danny.
Well, that's 3 consecutive top 3 finishes for Brad Keselowski. You guys are stringing them together. I know you had to earn this one, Brad, but what can you say about this team and what you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, Jamie, it was, gosh, woo. But it was good for our whole effort. We were in position early, and we had the issue on pit road. Guys kept their head down, just played through and recovered, and had some good strategy, made some good passes there on that last restart there to start stage 3, and the long run we were really strong. So just making it all count where we can, Jamie.
There was one point where your team wanted you to come down and pit when the 20 did. You said, I want to stay out and lead this thing.
Yeah.
Being a team owner, what kind of confidence does that give you to make those calls sometimes?
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately I got the steering wheel, so I can always make the call, Jamie. But I just felt confident. Our car wasn't falling off, and I wanted to just keep going and see it out and see if maybe we could catch a yellow. And if not, I just felt like more good things would happen to us.
And it did. Brad Keselowski brings it home third. Thanks. Did you use to override your crew chief?
Gonna fast forward a little bit in the broadcast, see if there was any more interviews before we go into the fantasy league analysis. Yep, Regan Smith caught up with Tyler Reddick.
We came down pit road.
Reddick finished fourth.
We didn't have a good start in the beginning. Disconnect there, so made it difficult to run multiple lanes. So we came to pit road 8th, and fortunately I slid a little deep. We got a little hung up on pit road there and came out like 28th. So just took all day to fight back through it. But hats off this whole 45 team, pit crew, the road crew, Billy Scott. We all worked really, really hard to overcome the lots of track position we had on the first stop. And I mean, that was kind of the name of the thing of our day, man. I mean, it took us all race long to get back to the front, unfortunately, but really happy that we were able to pull 4th place out of what was going to be a pretty interesting day. So we'll take it and move on.
Excited.
Another top 5 finish to Logano. The strategy to get that track position. What were you guys battling in the first half here?
We've kind of followed the whole race, just loose off, especially in the long haul. And in traffic, I couldn't get the gas pedal down. Too much forward horsepower, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't bolt it down today. Teammates were able to do that, which I think there's some lessons learned there for sure, and what we could have done better. But overall, hey, we come to these short tracks, we got to capitalize. Top 5 skid and a Penske car in victory lane is great. So that part's good. We got to keep executing on these type of days and scoring a lot of points here.
You got the win a couple weeks ago. It was a non-points race, of course, the All-Star, but your teammate gets the win. You said it's good for Penske. What does it mean, though, to the organization? Because it has been a struggle this season.
Yeah, I mean, that momentum goes through the whole team for sure. And, it's been hard. I mean, let's be honest. It's been miserable to be in our shop here lately. We expect to win. We got used to winning. And you're fighting for 20th. It's quite the kick in the so it's tough. But I think overall, everyone's kept their head down and digging hard, and we're making some gains. The short tracks are still our strength. We're still off on the 1.5 miles, no doubt. So we got to keep working on that. But when we come to these races, like I said, we need to capitalize on the strong ones, which this is one of them today.
Joey Logano brings it home 5th. Listen, we were the first ones to set up here with 4.
All right, time to go through the fantasy league for today's race. Actually, no, we'll go through the predictions here first. So pre-race predictions, where they ended up. Oh boy, this hurts even worse. I took Ryan Blaney to win. Oh man, I took Blaney to win. He was leading coming to the white flag, and he ran out of gas. Oh geez, finishes 24th. So my must-have pick on him guaranteed a top 10. No good there. I also had Kyle Busch, who finished 35th. For a top 10. Joey Logano, the only must-have that did get his top 10, finishing at 5th today. One of the sleeper picks, though, Austin Cindric gets the win. So there's that. Also ended up having Michael McDowell on the sleeper pick, and he ended up finishing outside the top 10 in 25th. Actually, first car lap down, so no good on the finish there. Carson Hocevar predicted to get a top 10 finish today, and he does get it. So far, 3 for 3 on the prediction, or 3 and 3 on the predictions, 3 for 6 total. The don't haves, all 3 Hendrick cars that predicted to finish outside the top 10 did finish outside the top 10. So that moves my record to 24 and 4 this season on predicting a driver to not finish in the top 10. Those drivers were Alex Bowman, who finished 28th, William Byron, who finished in 15th, and Chase Elliott 13th. So I was right there. Larson, the only top 10 for HMS today, and I said he was the most likely candidate to get one if he did, and he did. So at least got those right. I ended up going 6 for 9 on the predictions total today. It's not too bad. Another interview. Here's Regan Smith with Austin Dillon, who finished 7th. 6th, rather.
This is result on this team right now.
It's been a rough 2 years for us, and to have a run like this feels like a win. And all of our partners from Dow, this is the Rivers of Life Chevy and the Tucks Unlimited on the hood, and this feels so good. I can't thank my guys enough. They did a great job adjusting the car after practice, and some good calls by Justin Alexander on the box. And we had speed. We were just a really good car, and thought I was going to get Joey there at the end. It was a good battle, and it feels good. It feels great to race with these guys, and gives you the confidence you need to go to the next week.
All right, nice job. Thanks, Austin.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Christopher Bell wins last.
Still got to catch up with the actual live portion of the broadcast here. I guess I wasn't too far off. Well, there we go. All right, so we're live. If we get any other interviews, get to listen in. But yeah, man, that would have been 2 weeks in a row. I would have predicted a winner. And it would have been 2 this weekend because I did get SVG to win the Xfinity race yesterday, and I had Newgarden winning the Indy 500 last week. So been on a roll with it. Came close again. Looks like they're talking with Carson Hocevar now.
You get a career best finish, a great day for the 77. Yeah, it was big for us. We lost our lug nut there on the first stop, and our guys did a really good job catching the yellow, but I mean, ran as high as fourth there, so it was a lot of fun. I thought we were a little better than 22 for a minute, so I thought we were going to be really good. Our lights were off, so we were just slow on our green flag stop and lost some time to hopefully run fifth or so, but first time ever, seeing the racetrack for the second time in a Spire car, and happy with our car and with the pieces in this group. And Sigler Auto Group for the support. They had a tornado back in Michigan, so we're trying to fundraise some money to help at home. And, but man, really good day, and I'm excited for it. And just funny, like I was talking to you pre-race, in this race, Ryan Sparks texted Jeff Dickerson to sign me in the middle of the race under green, and I didn't even know it till after the race. And super thankful that he sent that text and we could do this. And Luke and Tyler Green up above the box and helping us out. I wouldn't do this with any other group. Awesome job. Thanks.
All right, cool to hear. On top of the rest of the post-race analysis here, just got to go through the fantasy league. I'll start off with my team. You guys that were following along all race know that I may have jinxed Kyle Busch. I moved him into my starting 5 about 5 laps before he got in the wreck with Kyle Larson, and because it was the final lap of the stage and the roster's lock at the end of stage 2, he was stuck in my lineup. And McDowell was in my garage. If I would have known that was going to happen, I wouldn't have made the change. Blaney on the final lap, who had picked the win, and was obviously also on my fantasy team because I predicted him to win, ended up having a run out of gas situation coming to the white. Still scored 16 stage points today, but only 13 place points, so I lost out there. I did have Austin Cindric on my team. He did get the win and does score the most points of anybody today, so that's a plus. Denny Hamlin finished 2nd. He was on my team, and Joey Logano finished 5th. So 3 top 5s. Not a great day there, but mainly because of the other 2 that were in my starting 5. As far as the bonus points go, Blaney didn't run out of gas. I would have swept 4 for 4 in the head-to-head picks. Logano beat Busch, Hamlin beat Truex, Gibbs beat Bowman as I predicted. I had Blaney over Bell, and man, what a fight down the stretch those 2 had. It stinks that none of them won the race. Not only did Blaney run out of gas there, but Bell, who had the fastest car in this thing, also had an engine issue in the final 18 laps too. So tough to see all that unfold when it did. Congratulations to Inside Uranus for winning the league this weekend. He is our Gateway KRC League winner. Finishes with 273 points total. Take a look at his team. He had also Hamlin. He also had Cindric and Logano. The only difference was between my team and his, he also had Blaney, by the way. He did have Christopher Bell, who had the 2nd most points in this race with winning the first 2 stages. McDowell was also on his team, but in the garage. His head-to-head picks were exactly the same as mine, so he goes 30 for 10 there. Hence why he ends up having a solid day, getting the win. I had 226 points, finishing at 6th. The rest of the top 5, we had Shrine at 1974, 252 points, finishing 2nd. Frank T26 finishing 3rd with 246 points. P-Chat Motorsports finishes with 240 points in 4th. Hercules Harrigan rounds out our top 5 with 236 points. By the way, Inside Uranus, if you are watching, been trying to contact you for about a week or so in regards to what race you want to go to this year. I know I contacted you earlier in the season, but I haven't gotten a word back since then. So definitely want to get those tickets out to you when I can. So be sure to contact. Of course, he won our regular season championship as well as playoff championship last year. So be sure to hit the like button. We're at 91 likes. We're only 9 shy of 100. So be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. KRC League, by the way, is the name of the league. I'll put it in the chat real quick. If you're not in it, definitely join. Again, chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500 if you win the playoff or regular season championship. Again, KRC League, KRC in all caps, space, capital L on league. That is where you go for that. It is on either NASCAR.com or the NASCAR mobile app. You go to the quick links section, as you see right here on NASCAR.com, top of the screen. Be a Fantasy Live tab. That's where my cursor is over right now. You click on that, sign up with your email. Again, free to join. All you have to do is be a subscriber of the channel, as well as, again, win that league championship, regular season or playoff. And although the regular season is more than halfway over, If you're not in the league, you obviously can't win now, but you can play, get a feel for how it works, and then when the playoffs start, the points reset, and your chances of winning are just as equal as everybody else's when the playoffs begin at Atlanta this fall. Appreciate everybody tuning in here for today's live commentary coverage and really the whole weekend. Second weekend in a row, we've had weird streaming schedule with overlapping races. Hopefully, we don't have that issue again the rest of the year. Last year, did all Truck Xfinity Cup races for the first time in channel history last year. Never missed a beat. We didn't have that issue once, and this year we've had it now 2 weeks in a row. So hopefully, we don't have that again. It kind of stinks because that's pretty much like one less stream that we were originally expecting going into the weekend. It hurts my viewership because it's one less stream, and it splits the viewers because some people are wanting to watch one race over another. We had that with the Truck and Xfinity race after a 3-hour rain delay for the Truck event yesterday, and that bled into starting only a half hour before that. Keegan Blaney fault for out of gas. Like, is it his fault or are you saying it's my fault? because I picked him to win. I don't know. I'm confused there at what you're asking. Didn't he leave early? I mean they pitted one lap early. You could argue that maybe the two was saving gas during the run. I feel like that's on Jonathan Hassler a little bit too, though. Don't you think? If he left the box early, I mean, I guess that could be one thing, but also if he left the box early and you know you're close on fuel, wouldn't you tell your driver to back it down, especially after Bell blew an engine? I can see not saving fuel. You're trying to run fast laps, Bell's closing in. But if you remember, he left the box early. You have 18 laps left in the race, and you have a 2.5 to 3 second gap back to Cindric in third. You could probably back it down a little bit. I mean, he was only a lap short. It's 1.3 miles. He was 1.3 miles short on gas. I mean, you could have potentially saved a lap of fuel in those last 18 laps. It's not impossible. It would have been a lot closer. And even if he didn't, he would have finished second instead of 24th because they were he was over 5 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin. So, I mean, Blaney left early. Crew had an incident on pit road. Yeah, so, I mean, even if Blaney left the box early, you could definitely put some of the blame on him. But I think it's a full team error more so than just the driver, if that is the case. Just again, I mean, the crew chief should know, hey, we didn't get it full. You should probably back it down a little bit. I can understand, pushing hard still, racing Bell, but yeah. NASCAR 7 streaming schedule this week. I don't have anything yet for this week. I think, probably Friday, I guess, if you count the week, but that's technically kind of next weekend. So I'm looking at Friday night as being the next one. And it would be a double header with the Cup Series practice session, which is a full 50 minutes next Friday at Sonoma. So because practice and qualifying for the Cup Series is split up and it won't be on the same stream next weekend, being on separate days, I plan on doing the next NASCAR 07 stream that Friday night after Cup practice. So that is when you can expect the next NASCAR 07 stream. Just taking a week off of that, and then we'll get right back on it again. But yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in, though, all throughout this weekend, even with the scheduling conflicts. Again, hopefully we don't have that issue going forward. Truck Series is off next weekend. We'll go through the start times for next weekend streams here before we leave this live stream and get on with our Sunday nights. Pull the schedule up on my phone real quick. Again, trucks are off next weekend. It'll be an Xfinity and Cup Series standalone event. Our NASCAR Cup Series coverage for the full 50-minute practice session on Friday evening will begin at 5 p.m. Eastern. So again, 5 p.m. Eastern, full 50-minute practice session. And then after that, we'll have our NASCAR 07 stream that night. Then the Xfinity Series race will be Saturday night. Eastern time zone, it'll be Saturday night where I live. If you live on the West Coast, it'll be 5 p.m. Pacific. Obviously, there's no lights at Sonoma, but they'll have still 5 hours of daylight, and if there's rain, they can still get it in with the rain tires and it being a road course. So no issues with time constraints of getting that Xfinity race in next weekend. It is only 79 laps, too, versus the Cup race is 110. So, again, next weekend's schedule, we'll have Cups. We'll probably have 2 NASCAR 07 streams at some point next week. I just don't know what days, other than I know for a fact Friday will. So Friday will be the Cup Series practice session, 5 p.m. Eastern time. After that, NASCAR 07 Busch Series race, I believe at Las Vegas. Saturday streams will have Cup Series qualifying at 6 p.m. Eastern. Immediately following Cup Series qualifying, we will have the Xfinity Series race at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will have our coverage of the Sonoma race. That race will be on your local Fox affiliate. It'll be the final race on Fox and/or Fox Sports 1 for the NASCAR Cup and/or Xfinity Series this season. So Fox rounding out their portion of the schedule. USA Network and NBC will continue at Iowa the following week. Have a good rest of your Sunday, everybody. An action-packed race, to say the least. Greatly appreciate everybody that tuned into this stream. It was a heartbreaker for me as a Ryan Blaney fan, not going to lie. Not only I took him to win, but I also saw my favorite driver have a win taken away, coming to the white flag, running out of gas, and it stinks. That hurt. It was a gut punch in the heat of the moment. I was shocked. I'm sure you guys were shocked, but then after the checkered flag flew and I saw him just limping across the line in 24th, where he ended up finishing out of gas, it sucks. As Clint Boyer stated, he's like, man, I want to cry for him. It didn't hit me quite that hard, but it hit me hard. It reminds me of some of those races I went to in person before I finally saw him win for the first time at Michigan in 2021, where he'd be like right there at the end. And then he'd end up coming up just short. Like, granted, it was after he won like Daytona when he was leading the 500 in 2022 and Cindric passed him on the last lap of the race. Like, I was heartbroken in person seeing that live. I kind of had that same feeling here today, not gonna lie. But at least he won a championship last year. I mean, I got to be grateful for at least that. Enough of me rambling. Have a good rest of your Sunday night, everybody. See you back and better than ever next Friday afternoon.